Year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza was murdered and his body dashed into the sea in Tobago after a close male relative confessed to killing the toddler and disposing his body. The suspect was brought to Cambridge Trace Goodwood yesterday, where sources say he gave key evidence of the child's disappearance. Plaza was reported missing 10 days ago by his mother, Khalifa Tobias. At the time, he was said to be missing and suspected to have wandered off at sea. The relatives of a 34-year-old Canupia man are calling for answers after he was shot and killed during a confrontation with police early yesterday morning. Police said they responded to reports of a home invasion at a house in Canupia where they alleged they found Abdullah Joseph holding a gun. Officers reported that in keeping with the use of force policy, they shot him. He was pronounced dead at hospital. A pistol was seized. However, relatives are disputing the police's account and argue that Joseph regularly slept on the premises with the permission of the homeowners who lived abroad. They also question whether he was in possession of a gun.
He never have no gun on him. He never had nothing. All he does have is the little drugs. That's all he does have. He don't give nobody no trouble. If somebody was something to eat inside there, he just come in the garden, he just pick it and carry it for them. When they cook, they just give him a little food to eat.
A teenager and his grandfather were beaten during a home invasion in Pinal. The incident happened around 3 o'clock on Monday morning at a house along Mora Dam Road. Police said the 17-year-old victim was outside the home when he was approached by 5 masked men, 2 armed with guns. The suspects struck him on the head, announced a robbery, and forced their way into the house. The teenager and his 63-year-old grandfather were then ordered to the front of the shed, tied up and beaten. The bandits later escaped with a cell phone and a boat engine. Superior police are continuing investigations. This has been Headline News. Stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour.
You're watching CNC3.
Well, good Thursday morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thursday, May 31st, 2026. Jason Williams signing on for the latest installment of the Morning Brew. And as you can see via the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, there is at least a very major development in this case that would have grabbed so many's attention, especially our brothers and sisters in Tobago. Still, though, no closure as it pertains to young Angelo's body. It's based on the confession of the stepfather. The boy's remains was dumped at sea. I mean, I'm trying to really make sense of all of this, and it's truly mind-boggling as to how the next generation, how some of the adults treat with the generation to come. We will treat with this particular matter and, of course, other stories. As per usual, some of the regular segments, the police and you, we have Johanse coming in with the mental health scenario, and there are many who will really need to do that deep analysis. We need to take a collective breath as a country at this particular juncture to understand where we're going and how we're going forward, and we need to really peg back and pull back as it pertains to the treatment of our most vulnerable, which are indeed our children, the elderly, and of course, I will put those who are differently abled in the conversation. We have to move up and we have to step up. We must step up as a nation. So we will treat with that and other major talking points inside today's Morning Brew. Sit back, relax. I even want to say enjoy because this is a tough one this morning, but we'll try to treat with it. See you soon. You know, I can't even run in this morning. Normally I run in, I'm very jovial. This morning I'm really hurt, I'm really upset. And this development out of Tobago, well, many were happy to know that the mystery is over. And they will do their due diligence, obviously, with further interrogation of the stepdad. As I would have mentioned yesterday, as a father myself, a father of a, well, now I could safely say a young man. My son is going to be 20 next month. I could recall when he was that age, the fun, the good times, the laughter, just the love, the hugs, the wanting to treat with this little human being with the utmost respect, utmost honor. And whether it's a biological father or a stepfather or uncle, or even on the side of the ladies with the aunts and the moms and the grandmoms, it's such a joy to have a youngster in the household, and to even fathom that someone could do that to a child, it blows my mind. And I find myself really heartbroken this morning that you could strangle a 2-year-old boy. What a child do you, boy? What's going on? As I would say every single time we get to this particular juncture, there is, and again, don't look at me as naive or feel I'm living somewhere or my head buried in the sand. I still believe there is lots of good, major love and goodness and community that exists in this country. But the dark side, which we would have experienced with this case, what we would have seen in Belmont, what we would have seen coming out of Lady Young, it have a real dark side, and the dark side very dark and very evil. And we have to find a way collectively to shine a brighter light on the darkness and get that darkness out of our country permanently. We can't go forward like this. This is not looking good at all. It's embarrassing. It's heartbreaking. Yes, I know it doesn't fall in someone's garden, because really only the family, right? Young Angela's family are the ones dealing with this, and they are the ones that have to carry this particular cross. But don't feel for one moment this cannot happen either close to you, next to you, or to you. And don't wait until then to say, you know, too late shall be the cry. We really need to find some kind of meaningful way to ensure that anyone even thinking about this kind of action, they'll have to think twice, 3, 4, 5 times and say, you know what, best I leave it alone, because the consequence for such an action must be so severe, must be so swift. We have to stamp it out. So condolences indeed to the family of and friends of all affected. And of course, Tobago, who I know would have been very invested in this story. It develops more on page 5, and it's yet another baby, another star, not given an opportunity to shine and to fulfill their particular potential and purpose in life. I'm watching another story here, 2 stories here that are really heartbreaking. On page 4, cyclist found dead after days calling the police, days after calling police for help. That story of Adrian. On page 4, condolences to the Duff family. And I'm watching another development where elderly man and grandson beaten during a Pinal home invasion. You don't normally hear this kind of atrocity in Pinal. Pinal, from what I know, rather quiet, very industrious, a vibrant part of the country. So I'm sure the authorities there in the deep Southland will be on their P's and Q's. And as per usual, we follow the counsel of Officer Russell, who steps in, I would say around 6:45. They're about to take us to the top of the hour. He speaks of making ourselves hard targets. So no matter if you're down in the country part, rural part, quiet part of the country, the days of your door just skin open wide, your windows, you need a little breeze, obviously, but be mindful of your doors, be mindful of your premises, your perimeter gates, and even if that doesn't exist, probably a security camera to give yourself that extra layer of security and that visual if there is any unfortunate circumstance. You could at least go back and do a playback as it pertains to people who are plotting and planning and observing. They're watching us sometimes. Well, we're not watching them, but they're watching you. They're doing the due diligence and making sure that understand your timing and your schedule. So we need to not have ourselves, I'm not suggesting the folks in Pinal did that, but I'm just talking generally. We cannot be soft targets for the criminal element. Let's head to the back page. Now, in terms of the sport, I normally leave it alone on a Thursday. Ian steps in to really give that deep dive. So Ian Wilson is stepping in from 7:30 for the morning shot. But the Red Force ends 20-year drought. TNT defeats defending champion Guyana in finals. And the same way I was over the moon with the Arsenal victory, I'm the same way for my local team. I don't know what folks feel is any kind of foreign better than local. No, we support our local cricket, our local clubs, but everyone will have their particular international favorite team, whether it's for this NBA that's going on, the business end, whether it's Bundesliga, whether it's tennis. There's always that person on that level, because we see what the top is about, and obviously we aspire to get there, and I could say rightfully so. We have had athletes over the years that went all the way to the top, whether it's track and field. We have had great folks in the realm of the boxing, and you name it, cyclists. We are able to box way above our weight class as Caribbean people and as Trinbagonians. But again, we celebrate the champions, and well deserved to the Red Force. And I'm seeing the Knicks in full gear. Could this be the year of the Knicks? We don't know. I can tell you, if Knicks was to go all the way and win that NBA title, New York City they'll have to the lock of the city for probably a day or two. People will go crazy. I could only imagine. All the best to the teams that remain in the NBA down to this business end. And also congrats on the football end to Aston Villa, league champions. Well, not as it pertains to the Premier League, that's for Arsenal, but they would have won one of the European Cup titles yesterday. First title in many, many years. So congrats to Aston Villa. I know Dwight York would have played for Aston Villa back in the day before his move to Manchester United. So they're still, based on, I'm sure, Dwight York's appearance back in the day, many Aston Villa fan in the country. And kudos to them. Beautiful win. We have to celebrate all who are able to get over the line. And I want to say, I want to extend sincere congratulations to the Aston Villa faithful. Well done. Beautiful victory yesterday. Let's move to the brief on this Thursday morning. Traditional mass characters pay tribute to the cultural icon and wire bender, Glendon Morris, at the celebration of his life at the St. Margaret's Anglican Church in Belmont yesterday. What a beautiful and fitting send-off for someone whose contribution is well documented via our carnival experience, our celebration experience. So, well done. And I'm seeing also the TTMS, that's the Met Office, they are warning of flooding, heat, and a near normal. Well, so they warn of flooding and heat despite a near normal hurricane season. I think the names are out, I must get a list of the names from Sigoni. They always put all the hurricane names, right? So the list is out, and well, the official start of the hurricane season is June 1st. June 1st, that's literally days away. So let's keep that top of mind and always be prepared. Up next, your Business Guardian breakdown. Anthony Wilson steps in for today's deep dive. Stick around. We come back with Anthony Wilson and your Business Guardian after this break.
We are your one-stop, most convenient, most helpful, most caring community pharmacy. Our pharmaceutical services include dispensing medicines, repeat dispensing, clinical governance, but we also have a fully stocked convenience store featuring our refreshment aisle, grocery lane, personal care products, toys, pet supplies. We are most conveniently located out of the traffic, just 2 minutes off the highway in Heartland Plaza, in Shogunas. Contact us on 220-8705 or 470-5938 and visit us soon.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
There's a hole in the bucket.
Well, fix it, dear Johnny. Just fix it. And while you're doing that, remember the roof is leaking, the house needs painting, all those kitchen tiles need changing. So tell me, Johnny, what about the plumbing? The driveway needs paving. Plus, you promised to add a new room to the house. I find it's about time. Johnny, fix it.
There has never been a better time for a TBLA home improvement loan. Call us today at 623-1501 or visit us at tblamortgages.com.
You and your father have betrayed me, Sophia. You've been lying to me from day one. Your father was in the hangar with a bag as he entered my plane.
Eduardo took that video so he could use it against me and my dad.
Enough! Don't lie to me.
But I'm telling the truth. That's the truth. I love you. Please believe me. I do love you.
You're lying! And I won't let you lie to me anymore.
Don't miss the gripping drama Cabo. Sundays at 8 p.m. only on CNC3. Get the story first. Want to know what's happening in news, sports, or crime? Get the CNC3 app. As the story breaks, CNC3 is there giving you the story first on your mobile device. Be connected to the most trusted and reliable news source, CNC3. Access your world with just a tap. The CNC3 app. Download it today.
Sportsmanship is when an athlete walks off the court and you can't tell if he won or lost because he carries himself with pride either way. This quote is an embodiment of sport, and for me, sport is an embodiment of life. We are where you are.
Filmmakers, producers, content creators, influencers, and recording artists. If you're looking to rent a versatile studio space with green screen, video wall, cyclorama, and more, look no further. GM Labs is here to make your dreams a reality. Located in the heart of Port of Spain on St. Vincent Street, GM Labs is your one-stop shop for all your creative needs with over 2,800 square feet to work with. Take your creative concept to the final product at GM Labs. Give us a call or WhatsApp or message us on our Instagram and Facebook pages at GM Labs TT.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order. Gaming Express Limited is a premium importer and retailer of the highest quality brand name electronics. We stock the widest range of PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Samsung, and Apple devices and accessories. Visit us at Shop 52, Level 2, Gulf City Mall in San Fernando, or contact us by phone or WhatsApp message at 687-7480 or 301-9797 or 798-1280. Like our Facebook and Instagram pages for updates on products and services. Looking for the ultimate gaming experience? Welcome to Phase 22 Gaming Lounge, where gamers of all ages come to play, compete, and have fun. Dive into your favorite games on PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, or race on our high-tech racing rigs. And experience the thrill of VR with PlayStation and Meta Quest. Our lounge is safe, comfortable, and perfect for everyone. When you're done, check out the latest gaming systems, accessories, and even Samsung and Apple phones. Visit us on the second floor of Gulf City Mall or call 786-2404 to book your gaming session today.
My colleague Anthony Wilson joins me on the Zoom line this morning to unpack some of the stories in our business guardian. Anthony, great to see you. Good Thursday morning.
Morning, Jason. Sad day this morning, but I guess we all have to do what we have to do.
Yes, indeed. You know, I'm looking at the front page there. I was really heartbroken this morning, and I would have given some commentary earlier. Anthony, I want to treat with what's via the front page, actually, of the Business Guardian as we pivot. And I'm seeing regional rums, so regional and rum, they're going to seek a global rebound. Now, when we say regional, we ultimately mean regional, the big players, because I know Trinidad is in the conversation, Guyana is in the conversation, Barbados is in the conversation.
Jamaica,
of course. St. Lucia with their Chairman's Reserve. So walk me through for all the rum connoisseurs.
Okay, so the rum producers in the region have an association. That association met at the Hyatt this week. And of course, they had conversations about how do they improve the stature and the brand of Caribbean rums. And what they were saying, as Geisha Kaulesa Alonso reported, is that during the pandemic and immediately thereafter, there was a bit of a fall off in the consumption of rum in the global markets. So what they are looking to do is they're looking to boost the consumption of rum in the main international markets, which would be the US, North America generally, Europe, the Far East, and the Middle East.
Is there, obviously it would have fallen off, but what strategy they're going to put in place to at least get the demand back to pre-COVID levels?
I think the strategy would have to be, I would think, collective marketing of regional rums. Some of the rums produced in the region are world class. You mentioned one there. They do have global markets, but I think if this strategy is to bear fruit, there needs to be a marketing of regional rums as opposed to the individual island rums for them to have success.
Well, I would hope that we would start at home first, because there are certain brands you can't even get on the grocery shelf, and I know that's strategic. That's not something by error or mistake. Obviously the local rum powerhouse within an island will ensure that their product is top of shelf, and all other Caribbean products might be available, but not in the quantity, because, look, I mentioned Chairman's Reserve. They have a nice spice rum that's not readily available in Trinidad. You could only really get that in St. Lucia. So and I'm not saying this has no rum cork or no rum man, but, based on just, observation and conversations with people who love their rum. So I hope it works out for them and we could all be on the same page, but it must start locally first before we could even target North America and England and all the Middle East and all these places, honestly.
I think the other important point about the global alcohol market is that young people largely tend not to drink hard liquors, hard alcohol. And that would include rum, whiskey, gin, vodka, and so on. I think there is a trend for younger people to drink the kind of mixed cocktail drinks, which Angostura has started to produce. And apparently the Angostura products are doing quite well with the younger audience.
Interesting story. It develops there. I want to employ all looking on to give it a read inside our Business Guardian. I want to head to your story, Anthony. And a question, a very important question you have put forward. You're asking, what did NGC hide from Moody's and TNT? What a question, Anthony Wilson.
Yeah, and of course, this comes out of last Friday's disclosure by Moody's, which is the global rating agency, that it would no longer cover NGC in its rating calculations. Now, the thing about rating agencies is the information that they produce is for bondholders. Bondholders especially want to know that the interest on their bonds will be paid regularly, and if the bond is what is called a bullet bond, that at the end of the bond period, that the bondholders would receive their full investment back. So the role of a rating agency is to assure the bondholders that they will get the interest on time, and if there is principal involved, that they will get the principal on time as well.
That's right.
So the rating agencies want to know that the companies or the countries that are being covered operate in a manner that they will be able to pay their bondholders on time, bondholder interest on time, and principal on time. So the rating agencies need to get certain amount of information from the companies or the countries to assure the bondholders that there are not going to be any delayed payments. And it seems to me that NGC has not been able to convince Moody's that the information that the natural gas distribution company has provided to the rating agency is adequate for the rating agency to make a balanced assessment of NGC.
Well, Anthony, as always, very relevant question, and I'm sure readers, when they hold on to the Business Guardian, they could go through the layers and come to their own conclusion. Anthony, all the best. Great to see you. And God spare, we'll do it again next week, Thursday.
Thank you, Jason. Hopefully, my colleague, Peter Christopher, will be with you next week, Thursday.
For sure. We look forward. All the best, Anthony.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
You're most welcome, Anthony Wilson from the Business Guardian desk. Up next, we stay in that conversation concerning our economy, the monies. Of course, this time around, IMF projections, and Professor Roger Hussein. He joins me, economist, to treat with this very important topic.
Period nights don't have to look like this. Move less, wake up to change. So change for a real night's sleep with Always Overnight. Its 3 times protection system absorbs, locks the fluid, and keeps it away from your skin. For protected nights without leaks. Always.
Food Basket Marketplace, Arima, Shogwana, Shafle, and Goville. Everyday low prices. Clean and white bleach, 950 ml, $15. Blue Waters Cran Water, 1 liter, 2 for $15. Hibiscus all-purpose flour, 2 kilograms for $15. Box May cornmeal, 340 grams, $15. From fresh produce to pantry essentials and household items, visit Food Basket Marketplace, Arima, Shogwana, Shafle, and Goville. Food Basket Marketplace, where shopping is a pleasure and the price is right.
Looking for a smart way to grow your savings? For just a limited time, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Credit Union is offering competitive fixed deposit rates of up to 4%. That's up to 4% guaranteed when you invest with PCU Fixed Deposit. Visit any of our locations in Barataria, Arima, San Fernando, or Tobago to get started today. For more details, visit policecreditunion.com or call us at 6124-PCU. PCU. Your future is safe with us.
Attention all listeners, are you ready for the ultimate news experience? Introducing the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, the nation's first and most subscribed newspaper. We deliver where others can't. With the widest delivery network in TNT, you can have the Guardian delivered right to your doorstep or office every single day. Take advantage of our special annual subscription offer so you can stay on top of the leading stories even when you're on the go. Sign up today. Time is running out. Inquire about our 3-month and 6-month packages as well.
Each day I ask myself, how can our country be better than it was yesterday? We all hope for a better society, but not many understand the power of their influence to change the world around them. A small act of kindness holds as much power as a camera, a mic, or even a seat in the parliament when it comes to achieving societal development. I understand that my purpose extends beyond being a mere observer. I am an active participant in shaping the world around me. From the stories I write to the newscast I produce, it is my hope that everyone is heard and understood. We are where you are.
economist, Professor Roger Hussein, joins me on the Zoom line to unpack development that needs some clarity. I look forward to your counsel this morning, Professor, and as always, thank you for the time.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for the invitation.
This IMF growth projection I'm seeing, is there any silver lining behind the dark cloud, or could you let us know if, just unpack some of the layers concerning this IMF growth projection and what it says for Trinidad and Tobago?
Okay, so basically, let's start with the fact that this is not the first IMF concluding statement. There was an IMF concluding statement on February the 10th. This executive concluding statement, I suspect the article 4 will come out next week sometime, is what they released after they went back to Washington, in my opinion, and processed some more numbers, given that there is a war with Israel, the USA, and Iran, and therefore energy prices were changing, and they felt more comfortable to do some more number crunching. Now, if you look at the data on May the 18th, you would see a number of little changes with the February the 10th report. One of the things you would see is that the level of economic growth increased marginally to 0.8 as compared, I believe, to 0.6. You would see they did adjust inflation upwards, of course, because global prices are increasing. They modified the unemployment rate downwards because on April the 21st, the last labor force bulletin came out, and the real effective exchange rate, which I think is one of the most important variables, remain the same. So the 0.8 is not changed the world. It is not fantastic, but it is good in the context that for 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, we had negative growth, negative. And then for 2025, it was a mere 0.76. So this 0.8 forecasted for 2028 has to be taken in that context. It also has to be taken in the context that between 2015 and 2022, there was a 21% collapse in GDP. I sent some of the data to Nikisha. I don't know if she could pull up the GDP data, but there was a 21% collapse in GDP. So that what we are seeing is a slow turnaround of the Trinidad and Tobago economy now. Although we had economic growth in 22, 23, and 24, part of that economic growth was associated with opening the Trinidad and Tobago economy back. So you closed the Trinidad and Tobago economy in 2020, and in part of 2021, and the labor force participation rate went right down, and several businesses were closed. But in 22, 23, and 24, as you open the economy back up and remove the COVID restrictions, growth returned. In 2025, the associated with the decline in natural gas production by 40% or thereabout, you have a 0.76%, a 0.8% for 2025. And now for 2026, we are also seeing a forecasted 0.8%. It's not fantastic, but at least we are not negative. That's one thing. And the more important thing, it's like waiting. The economy now is in this waiting place, in which the policymakers have kept it relatively stable at the 0.8% for 2025 and 2026. But when you look at the real picture emerging, when you have to look at the World Economic Outlook April database, and you will see 27, 28, 29, 20, 30, and data after that, you would see that we are going to move back into much stronger growth. And so we just have to keep things stable and calm as best as we could and wait for that improvement in economic activity so we could improve our outcomes in the medium term. So it's not fantastic, but it's certainly stable enough, and it's certainly above zero.
Professor, I know obviously when one considers crunching the numbers, there's always a balancing act between minimizing expense to maximize your profit. Is there any correlation between the government's harsh decision, and you would have said strategic and probably needed decision to cut some of the programs to probably channel monies in another direction? Is there any kind of correlation between what was done with some of the major programs to cut them off, bringing us to this 0.8 growth?
So first, I don't clearly understand your question. Are you saying the 0.8 is good or no? It's not clear. Because
all growth is good. So I'm suggesting if this minor growth happened, but remember some harsh decisions were made by the administration. So I'm thinking, was that a result of some of these decisions? Seeing that some of the monies that would have been spent on, let's say, CPEP and other major programs, if there's any correlation between some of the cuts and what we're seeing with this particular growth?
No, it makes no sense to me to come here and fool the population. I have no problem with the cutting of CPEP. And when I look at the growth number, when I look at the employment numbers that came out in April 2021, I did not see a collapse of the labor market. In fact, in the same labor force report that came out, you are seeing that the unemployment rate has gone down. And if you look at the overall 2025 labor force data as compared to 2024, you would see that the labor market improved. So maybe we closed CPEP and our private sector that was starved for workers absorbed these workers in one form or another. But the facts and the evidence and the data is not supporting any collapse in the labor market, further collapse in the labor market on account of CPEP. No, it is showing something different. It is showing something that is improving, and therefore I felt that was a good move. But to specifically answer your question, yes, one of the things that stands out to me in the report, well, three things. One, energy revenues obviously increased in the report. Budgetary energy revenues, which is not surprising, energy prices are on the rise. Two, nominal GDP increased. I think the new report puts it very high in the sense that it puts it somewhere into, I think, 81 billion as compared to 175 billion TT nominal dollars last year. And the third thing, though, and very significantly, I am seeing a prospective capital expenditure that is higher than the 5 years before that as a percentage of GDP, because for a number of reasons. Now, that 3.4% capital expenditure for 2026 is critical. If it is you have 4 men on a job with one backhoe working, and you want to bring more men onto the job, you have to get more machinery, more capital. So an increase in capital expenditure in 2026 to 3.4%, higher than the 5 years before, stands out to me as an opportunity to employ more people with the capital that would be on the job site, and therefore that's a good thing, in my opinion, for Trinidad and Tobago. We have to, of course, see how it rolls out, but taking money from recurrent expenditure and programs like CPEP, in which you have a negative welfare impact. I did work the numbers out, and channel it back into increase in capital expenditure that could absorb more labor and lower the labor force participation rate and lower the economically inactive population. That's good. That's a healthy, stronger direction to the Trinidad and Tobago economy. And if some of that could be used in the e-tech parks, given the performance of our non-energy export sector, all those are correct steps in the right direction. Are there enough steps? No. We need to keep making more steps, but they are correct steps in the right direction.
You know, there's been no mid-year budget review date set just yet. Are you concerned that certain numbers are not adding up and our debt concerns is causing us to not really get that particular review just yet? Because I know people look forward to that mid-year, gives the government a chance to adjust going towards the next fiscal budget. So any concerns in that regard?
Okay. Not really. This IMF report, the main report that I read on the Trinidad and Tobago economy is this report. Now, this report, because the IMF have strong credibility. Yeah, I'm not saying that our Ministry of Finance or anybody would interfere with it. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm saying that a lot of my friends that I went to university with now work at the IMF. I know the people there. I know them well. I know the people at the World Bank. And I can tell you they have a lot of credibility. And so this report gives me a lot of confidence in the medium-term outlook. So although we are seeing 0.8 for 2026, if Nikisha could change and look for the real GDP growth graph, we are seeing 0.8 for 2028. That's not slowing me down or changing my perception, because I know the 27, 28, 29, 2030 numbers. I know the forecasted growth, and because there's a 97% correlation between natural gas production and real GDP growth, I know when natural gas production increases, that real GDP growth will move upwards. I'm comfortable. In terms of the inflation rate that you just put up there, I was hoping that the audience, the viewing population could see it. It shows that our inflation rate has not exploded, which our consumer price index has not exploded. For example, from 2015 to 2026, our percentage increase in the consumer price index was 25.9%. There are countries with higher. And if you could go to the next graph, Nikisha, you would see if I use the data for 2025 to 2027, our increase in the consumer price index is marginal. It's about 4 point something. And it's not out of sync with our trade partners, and in fact lower than some of our trade partners, which is critical. As I said, one of the most important variables to watch in the IMF report is the really effective exchange rate, and that has not appreciated. It has in fact gone down a little for 2025, and I think that's a good. All those are good little steps in the right direction. Will it get you a goal? No. But it would move the ball from the opposing end of the field to about 2/3 down the road, and we just have to keep knocking it around until we bring it to the opposition goal.
So in essence, as we wrap things up, the outlook, despite all the global challenges, regional challenges, the outlook, we can still safely say there might be a silver lining behind what's considered a dark cloud at this point in time?
Yes, I would say that. And to be fair, the way I would put it for the benefit of the listeners is that I could see a man, for lack of a better phrase, going and eat a doubles and drinking a Coke as they did last year and the year before. But next year, I could see someone possibly buying a one piece with fries, and the year after, a 2-piece with fries. I could see a change in the capabilities of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago based on the IMF numbers from 2026 to 2031, which is not in the report that came out on May the 18th, but which is in the global economic, the World Economic Outlook April database that will come out in about 2 weeks' time when the IMF Article 4 report. This is the table I kept referring to, and the Trinidad and Tobago numbers are there.
So the potential for disposable income to grow, there is that consideration. There might be a slight increase going forward.
A distinct increase. When last did we get growth of 2.7% and 3.1% forecasted? I haven't seen those growth numbers, I believe, since 2008. So it's not going to be a massive surge. 2.7 and 3.5 is not 20 and 25 as Guyana and Suriname would get. But it's no longer putting us in the top 25 worst performing economies in the world. From next year, the data that I am seeing in the IMF are taking us out of that top 25 worst performing economies in the world, and we have much better performance. I hope that is clear to you.
Professor, very clear. Thanks as always for the perspective. Have a great one, and we will chat soon. All the best.
No problem. Have a good day. Okay.
So at least from the professor's, through his lens, even though it's incremental and small, but it's still growth. So interesting one indeed. We get ready for the police and news segment. It's up next with Officer Russell. Stand by.
your heart, brain, and body with omega-3. Packed with essential fatty acids, omega-3 helps support heart health, brain function, and overall wellness. Whether you're staying active, focused, or simply living life to the fullest, make omega-3 part of your daily routine. Live healthier with omega-3. Wellness that works from within. Tune in to Wellness Unlocked on CNC3 Sundays at 5 p.m., also on Monday and Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m.
Break out of the ordinary with ANSA Bank and enjoy faster returns. With ANSA Bank savings accounts, you earn interest monthly and keep what's yours. Pay no monthly maintenance fees, no point of sale fees, no ATM fees, and no digital transfer fees. Switch to a new way of banking.
Name something that people stick their noses into.
The apple bucket, like bobbing for apples.
Where did that answer come from? In the apple bucket. Okay.
This is Mary. Mary has bills to pay and takes a chance parking in front of the building at the no parking sign. Mary returns to her car, and this is what happens. Mary decides to call when she's 5 minutes away to let her daughter know that she is close by. But Mary forgot one thing.
Boy, second ticket for the day. I don't know, no? I really don't know. Well, I tell you.
After 2 tickets, Mary just isn't paying attention to her speed.
You see a fixed penalty notice, fixing speed like 15 kilometers. You have 30 years to pay, 15 years to contest.
It has short other people. Look at other people passing. All they ain't seen them. All they seen me, right? Eh? All they too wicked.
Don't be like Mary. Obey the laws of the road. A message from the TTPS.
ESP Russell joins me live on set to treat with a very important talking point this morning. We are treating with parenting responsibility under the Children's Act, and this is a timely discussion, seeing how some adults are treating with our most vulnerable, the children in the country. It's a cause for major concern, and it's yet another opportunity for Officer Russell and others to remind folks of their responsibility of what's required. And I want to start immediately. Of course, as always, good morning to you and welcome, but I want to get the latest concerning young Angelo. Of course, we have certain news here coming into the public domain via the newspaper, but they're just through your particular line of communication, just to know, or at least to inform the nation as to the latest. Good morning to you, officer.
Well, good morning, Mr. Williams. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. On behalf of the Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Assistant Commissioners, First and Second Division Officers of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I wish you a great Thursday morning. I hope all is well where you are. What I want to say, and it's something that I usually caution persons about, as the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we have to be responsible with the information we divulge or disseminate into the public domain. And we ask persons repeatedly, time over time, to await an official correspondence, await official information from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, which is the primary agency or organization with responsibility for safety and security of the nation. My commissioner has not made a statement as yet with respect to that. I know there's a press conference on today. I'm not certain, but I believe that that is one of the things that may be addressed. However, I'm asking that, I am saying that the investigation is at a sensitive stage, and we would like persons to just await the official update from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. I would not want to engage in misinformation or divulge any information that may cause the public to run, or the media even to run with their own narrative and put things out there that have not that are not so.
At least, I mean, you know, at least we know now that there will be a press conference later, and I hope that this scenario would be addressed, because I know it would have captured the attention of so many, especially our friends in Tobago, where you don't really hear of such action. So I know this is a heartbreaking one, and we are reminded that the children within the last couple of weeks, they've been in the receiving end of most brutal violence, leading in death. And it's really a reminder to all of us to be extra vigilant and for everyone to be on the same page, because we must protect our most vulnerable.
Yes, and I mean, we have seen over the past 4 weeks per se, or 5 weeks, we have seen several children will have met their demise and are no longer with us because of acts of the adults who's supposed to be the caregivers of these children. You know, it's heartbreaking when we see things like these, and we are asking parents, guardians, caregivers to really do their due diligence, as they have a responsibility, not only morally but legally.
And in that regard, Officer Russell, what is a parent's responsibility under the Children's Act?
Under the Children's Act 2012, the parents, and let me just read it so I'll be there verbatim for persons, so people would understand it's not something that ASP Russell make up, but is what is in the Children's Act 12, Section 12 of 2012, Section 4. Where a person has responsibility for a child, the person willfully assaults, ill-treats, neglects, abandons, or exposes a child, or causes or procures the child to be assaulted, ill-treated, neglected, abandoned, or exposed in any manner likely to cause that child's suffering or injury to his physical, mental, or emotional health. So we're talking about physical, emotional, financial, verbally, physically. Several different things. Just leaving that child unattended, unsupervised. On summary conviction, $5,000, 6 years imprisonment. On indictment, we're talking $50,000 fine and or 10 years imprisonment.
How does one differentiate between a child being abandoned and a child being neglected? Because it seems to be a kind of thin line between the two.
Well, abandon would just be this.
Like a parent go out to party
just
and
leave the child. The parent go out.
You go and both try to leave the child home, or you're going.
But neglect could take it even that, and that could be a form of neglect as well. But you have a responsibility. So, like for instance, you didn't feed the child. Something happened, and you refuse to bring the child to the police to make a report, or things like that. You refuse to, under the act, when it talks about education, you have a moral responsibility and a legal obligation to have the child educated as well. You must send your children to school.
You see, that's a gray area, because we find ourselves in a scenario where we have immigrants, folks from far removed, who children are home as we speak. They can't enter the school. So that in itself, they need to work out the maths there. I mean, that's not a TTPS issue. That's a Ministry of Education issue. And they need to sort that out also, because we are in a legal framework, and how it could be that we have children literally at home during the day.
Well, let me correct you on one thing that you said. You say it's not a TTPS issue. But I believe it is a TTPS issue, because when a child is uneducated and cannot be hired or not qualified for any job, then what is this child's option? Quote unquote, the child may.
Yes, it's true. Ultimately,
turn to a life of crime, and therein,
and then it becomes it lands in your lap.
The TTPS's problem. So it is our problem. So I mean, once you are an immigrant and you have been registered and you went through the correct measures and you have a particular status within the country, as they had the migrant registration program, which we just completed.
It's still going on. I saw it yesterday. Yesterday by the stadium, people were there.
Well, look at that. So once you are there and you register and thing, you have that opportunity to send your children to school and have them receive an education and stuff like that. So they are not outside of the system.
So could they end up in trouble, the parents? I'm trying to figure this out, because that part's so technical. I say this because my mom lives next to some immigrants, And the two children, when I go to check any day, they're always home, and clearly they're not in school. And I'm trying to figure out, could a parent in that scenario, if you're trying to get your child in school, you can't get your child in school. Some could say it's homeschool, you know, homeschool is an option too. They could say homeschool. So I don't even know these children could be homeschooled for all I know, but if there is a genuine attempt, you can't get your child in, would that parent still be in some problems?
Well, then we'd have to do our own investigation. We may have to engage the Children's Authority. We may have to engage the Child Protection Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, gender base, etc. And then we do our investigation, and based on our findings, then we would know what to do. Because I mean, this is an investigative body. We don't just do things haphazard like that. So we must, you know, do the proper protocols and processes to ensure that all was done.
And let me ask, where is the Children's Authority and sometimes Ministry of Labor and even the TTPS when we see children out the road during school hours working on the hustle, on the grind? Is that illegal?
Yes, child labor, yes, it is illegal. But I think a lot of us, we are in a...
Because some parents really can't make, you know, they cannot afford.
And
so in that, sometimes not even the parent will have to say, yes, we Russell, you know, sometimes they churn upon themselves, pick up themselves and decide, hey, I want to help and contribute to the household.
Well, if the children pick up themselves, I mean, the parents still have a responsibility to do their best to educate that child. Remember, you have care and custody of that child. Once that child is under 18, you have to dictate the pace. Whereas the income coming into the house would help. How much income could a child that hasn't fulfilled his entire education, and I'm talking bare minimum or level passes, how much income could that child really contribute? It's either he or she's into crime, or probably doing what, wiping windows, or doing something that may not really contribute. So then, what are we doing? Are we really just looking at the income, or are we setting up that child to fail in the future?
In terms of the physical, well, we call it abuse now. Back in the day, it was licks, right? We always talk about a reasonable response to a child's misbehavior. Could a parent really get in trouble in this year time for beating a child?
Of course. You see, I know people will speak about the biblical days, spare the rod and spoil the child. But when we come from back then to now, when you look at the psychological training of a child, when you look at child's conditioning, like for instance, Pavlov, operant and classical conditioning, when you look at the child, let's say every time the child do something wrong, you beat the child. He or she becomes an adult and they are in a relationship, and the wife do something they did not approve of. What have they been trained to do? Not hit your wife?
To move with violence. And I want to take it to a video we saw out of the central region. And I wonder if what we're seeing with lots of the children reacting and how they carry on, if we can run that video. Major school fight here. I mean, obviously, kick and hand pelting, full. I mean, we're talking here relentless, you know. And these are children, you know. Children. And my question is, I mean, I don't know. Your take on this as we,
Mr. Williams,
a couple seconds that
so many things come out of that. When you see how they would have beaten that child unconscious, there's a gentleman in a blue t-shirt that went and searched the child's pocket as an adult. When you look at the video, I just saw the video close up, not this blurred version. There was a guy in blue, if you look at it there, who went and searched the child's pocket as a parent. You know, we speak about crime and responsibility, and I'm getting passionate because I too am a parent. You see somebody doing that to your child, how would you feel? How would you react?
Yeah, you'll want to
Should they be charged criminally? What do we do with these children after that? Because you are seeing the kicking and beating a child who is defenseless and on the ground. What do we do then?
Child could get a bad lash. The child
has been knocked unconscious. What if that child has permanent damage in his brain or otherwise?
Yeah. This is currently being looked at, this particular case?
Well, of course, all incidents of school violence engage Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. All. And it will definitely, and I'm almost certain that an investigation has commenced into this.
Well, Officer Russell, I know we're getting ready for the 7 a.m. news update. I want to thank you again, ASP Russell, for being here and just giving us that reminder. And we'll continue this. Let's have a part 2 on this next week. All the best.
Okay, so Trinidad and Tobago have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend ahead.
Indeed. We get ready for the 7 a.m. news update. See you soon.
Time check. Brought to you by the Central Bank and the National Financial Literacy Program.
K. Marie Fletcher with headline news on CNC3 and the TBC radio network. Police sources yesterday confirmed that missing 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza was murdered and his body dashed into the sea in Tobago after a close male relative confessed to killing the toddler. The suspect was brought to Cambridge Trace Goodwood yesterday, where sources say he gave key evidence on the child's disappearance. Plaza was reported missing 10 days ago by his mother, Khalifa Tobias. At the time, he was said to be missing and suspected to have wandered off at sea. The body of a 35-year-old Las Lomas man who went missing on Monday was found in the Caroni River yesterday. Relatives of Adrian Duff began searching for him on Monday evening. Duff reportedly called police on Monday and informed them he was chopped and at the Cocoa Estate in Las Lomas. After finding his burnt bike on Tuesday, the victim's cousin Damian Duff returned yesterday and found his cousin's body trapped by bamboo roots inside the Caroni River. Police suspect that Duff was killed near to where his burnt bike was found and his body later dumped in the river. A teenager and his grandfather were beaten during a home invasion in Pinal. The incident happened around 3 o'clock Monday morning at a house along Mora Dam Road. Police said the 17-year-old victim was outside the home when he was approached by 5 masked men, 2 armed with guns. The suspects hit him on the head, announced a robbery, and forced their way into the house. The teenager and his 63-year-old grandfather were then tied up and beaten. The bandits later escaped with a cell phone and a boat engine. Superior Police are continuing investigations. Stay tuned for another news update at the top of the hour, right here on CNC3 and across our Guardian Media platforms.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. Big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop, Tomitoma, and Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Pleasance Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958.
What if we each took one small action today that could have big impact tomorrow? What if one family took a stand to reduce waste in our landfills? What if one school made a choice that could lead to a greener Trinidad and Tobago? When you recycle glass, you create jobs, reduce waste, save resources, and help preserve our environment. Glass bottles and jars are 100% recyclable and can be reused indefinitely. Recycle your glass and join the Glass Loop movement today.
Step into ABC Doors and Windows, where quality meets variety. Discover premium wooden, steel panel, fiberglass, and steel security doors alongside aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows designed for strength and durability. At ABC, we're always a better choice, delivering products built to last and service you can rely on. Visit our showroom at 1 Chanka Trace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to make your dream home a reality.
Yuanse Aradika joins me as we get into the second hour on your Thursday the 21st of May, 2026. And this morning, we are treating with a topic just simply entitled Let It Flow. Just let it flow. Let it flow. I remember Tony Braxton had a big song back in the day, Let It Flow, you know, but I'm sure we're gonna get into some deeper layers concerning this topic. So Yuanse, great to see you, man. Welcome.
Morning, Jason. Morning to everybody. All right. Just let it flow. So a definition for flow is a steady, continuous movement, right? Now, many times, once something is moving, sometimes it's difficult to stop it. Now, I say that because you have control over yourself. So you could stop yourself from flowing in a certain direction if you choose to. But when you're around people or situations, many times you can't do much about it. Now, you could control how you react to it. But if somebody intent on doing something, right, or somebody intent on being a certain way, you can't really do much about that. Now, you don't have to like it. But you now trying to stop the flow will cause problems for both you and them.
Interesting. And what if it's collective, if it's that flow is a cultural flow, and you're trying to go against the tide, because many times, because when you think of flow, you think of water, and water is something that could get into every crevice and crease, and it's moving. But even with water, you must sometimes go in the direction, because you try to go against the flow, it could be problematic.
True. Now, the thing is that, using your example in terms of the cultural flow, if you choosing to do something different from the culture you're around, that is possible, it might be difficult, but the key is you not to try to change everybody too. Because sometimes you convicted about something, so now you want to try to make everybody else do it. But that is where the issue comes in. Because it's a free country, you could do whatever you want. So when you're doing that, you wouldn't be causing self-frustration.
Yes, it's true.
But now if you're trying to change people, now you get angry at people, you're angry at yourself. While you're still not doing this because I seen it this way, but if you've seen it that way, then you do that.
So even though we're part of a collective, I would imagine, based on what you're saying, to let it flow is an individual experience.
Correct. And that is better for your mental health, because many times people want to change others and change certain things about other things that they don't have the power to do. Right? Now, I'm not saying don't give somebody advice, right? Though if you had the wisdom, hey, have a hole there, don't walk there. Say something. But if the person still chooses to walk and fall in the hole, that is their flow.
Is it okay to strategically position yourself in a particular rhythm and momentum, a particular flow that is aligned with your vision? So let's say, you want to buff up and get healthy and get strong and stuff. You go to the gym and you could get into a little community there and flow with them, so that, I guess, because some people need encouragement too. Some can't do it on their own. Is that's cool? That's okay?
No, what I'm saying, if you have a certain flow you want to go along, right? The thing is, go do it. But because we can't predict the future, sometimes the flow does take a different way. And because we're so hell-bent on something, sometimes we could cause us frustration. Let me give an example, using your same example. Okay, I decide, hey, I want to get ripped and buff and I'll go into the gym. So I decide that and I start to flow in that direction. But let's say my work schedule change, right? And I used to go to the gym early in the morning, but now I'm working late in the night. Do I still force to go to the gym with no sleep? If you understand what I'm saying. So the flow now is a different direction. Now I'm not saying stop going to the gym. You have to flow maybe in the evening time. But sometimes we so hell-bent on something, we want to force it instead of going with the flow of how life happened.
I'm seeing letting it flow as being able to adapt, to be agile, to move with the ever-changing possibilities of life, because there are many who are very structured, very intentional. They plan and they have a particular routine, and it's when that routine is disrupted, it more or less disrupts their flow. How do we treat with that person who is really measured and very meticulous, and then there's a major incident that could disrupt that flow? What's your advice in that regard for those looking on?
This is difficult. This one I'm going to say is easier said than done, because most people create a schedule or a routine because that is what they see in terms of getting the success or getting their goal. So for some people, it's also safety, because uncertainty is fearful, right? But that is life, As cliched as that may sound, we cannot predict nothing. Now, it's good to have a plan. It's good to have a framework, so at least you know where you're functioning, but you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes, we just feel it, when you start to force something. No matter how good something may seem, when you intent, when you reach a certain point, everybody know when something becoming heavy, something becoming forceful. Like, why are only trying this thing and it's not working? Why are only talking to this person and feeling like if we always rubbing friction, bumping heads? And I'm saying that because when it starts to feel that way, sometimes it's time to reevaluate. I'm not saying abandon what it is, but maybe it could accomplish that same goal, but maybe change the plan a little bit. And that's part of going with the flow. Sometimes people think going with the flow means I just allow anything to happen. That's not what it is. But to be able to analyze in that moment, maybe what I predicted is not that.
Because I want to take it now to the anything could happen, the opposite of someone who is structured and well planned out. There are many who go with the flow. They're really free-spirited. They can pick up themselves in the morning and just go to the next part of the world. They go with no particular template. There's no blueprint. And some who live that kind of free-spirited life, honestly, from the outside looking in, seem to be rather happy, you know. You want to say?
Right. So
they seem to just dive headfirst into the flow, you know.
So now I'm going to let it flow from a different perspective. Inside all of us, we have intentions, goals. We have however you want to look at the metaphysical, soul, spirit, etc. We have something that in us that should be allowed to flow outwards. So now let it flow is not only from the external part of it, it's from the internal part of it. Those people they describe as free-spirited, they let it flow because when we wake up, we feel a certain way. We feel like we want to do a certain thing in that day or that moment. But I have to go to work inside or have to do this inside. So then what inside of you, sometimes you don't let it flow. Now, I'm not saying if you have a job, just don't go. If you have responsibilities with children, just don't do it. But it's to be aware of what inside of you to let it flow. Because remember, our flow is a continuous, steady movement. And just like water, you can't really stop water, you know. You could put up a dam, right? But when people build a dam, what is happening is they use the dam for energy because that water coming, just building up energy. And whether it is 5 years later or 10,000 years later, when that dam breaks, the water still going where it had to go, you know. If you understand what I'm saying. That's just like inside of us. When we want to do something or we have an idea, even if we delay it, it's always inside of us to go. And if we live life accumulating too many of those things and not letting it flow, it could also cause us mental distress.
Let it flow. You think, you know, being a Trinbagonian, us living here, being part of this reality that is Trinidad and Tobago, we generally let it flow. I think when I look at how we analyze such major decisions, major happenings, some of us don't really seem to be as concerned. It seems that we just say, well, hey, that's Trinidad and Tobago, and we go with the flow. That's a famous saying we hear.
Well, I think for Trinbagonians, it kind of double-edged because I think we're good at adapting to certain things, right? But that occurs when we don't do initiative. So we're good at damage control. So instead of fixing my car and service it on time, when it breaks down, I could retrofit something now. If you understand what I'm saying. Instead of doing the preemptive things, right? Instead of taking care of my child the way I'm supposed to, when it's time I come up with something to now do it, right? And a lot of things that happen in the country is we let things flow. And when I say this now, we let things flow in a way that is not really what we want. So when it happens, we now have to kind of scramble. But when we scramble and it work out now, we then say, well, I was just letting things flow. But a lot of times, that's just an excuse we use.
Yeah, it seems like we only get serious when it gets serious. That's why. Right. That's been my reality. We take it serious when it really gets serious.
But before it was serious, something inside you say, you know, this is what maybe I should do. These are the things I'm seeing. Maybe I should do these things beforehand, but I'm not doing it, right? And that's the part. You have something inside you and you're not letting it out.
Your final take on the let it flow discussion this morning, you answer. You have the final say.
Nishan, there are many things inside of you that want to come out. Everything may not come out at the same time, but if you take your time and let it flow to you, you will be able to live an uncomplicated life. Life is not easy, but it's really not that hard. Thank you for listening.
Great conversation this morning, and with that, we're going to flow into our next talking point, and we head to Mount Hope Secondary School. There's a cultural exchange that's happening between Trinidad and Tobago and St. Lucia. And Dr. Sasha John Charles Baines is here to give me all the details. Stand by.
Fat Fellas celebrates its final performance in San Fernando, Naparima Bowl.
One night, one show, Saturday, May 30th, night of the holiday.
Two Fat Fellas stars, Cecilia, Kenny, Kevon, Zachary, Raisha, and Rody.
The ridiculously funny comedy is at Naparima Bowl for one final night. Tickets available at Dormont Shoe Store along Circular Mall, Anthony's Floral Val Park, K-Square Stores, Eastgate Mall, Brentwood Plaza, C3 Center, Athletes by the Park, Southern Food Basket, Coffee Street, and Point Fortin. Naparima Bowl box office opens Thursday the 28th of May. Also online at islandtickets.com. For more info, text or call 683-0356 or 683-4843.
Check out our early bird special online at Island E-Tickets. Two fat fellas.
Mom, Dad, this is Trevor.
Hi.
He's no Kieran.
Back up. Fling? That's why he crossed the road.
It was funny when Kieran said it.
Oh, who could that be?
We're like the parents who don't miss your ex.
I can't believe Kieran is in the neighborhood.
CG United. Good like that.
What if we each took one small action today that could have big impact tomorrow? What if one family took a stand to reduce waste in our landfills? What if one school made a choice that can lead to a greener Trinidad and Tobago? When you recycle glass, you create jobs, reduce waste, save resources, and help preserve our environment. Glass bottles and jars are 100% recyclable and can be reused indefinitely. Recycle your glass and join the Glass Loop movement today.
You can make your goals unfold, go get it. You can live your dream, join the team, let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Run Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve it. Big goals, small ones too. Run Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should with Run Credit Union. Yes, you could make someday today.
Live your best life today with RAND Credit Union.
Living with diabetic neuropathy is exhausting. The burning pain and tingling that won't go away? Introducing Myolaxin D Gel, made for pain relief. Fast absorbing, non-greasy, and easy to apply. Its Carbomer gel formula delivers relief deep at the nerve level. Oleoresin capsicum helps reduce pain signals, while diclofenac eases inflammation. Menthol and camphor provide fast, soothing comfort, so the pain eases and comfort returns. Size doesn't matter. This 15-gram tube gives you maximum relief. Myolaxin D Gel, available at pharmacies nationwide.
What if we each took one small action today that could have big impact tomorrow? What if one family took a stand to reduce waste in our landfills? What if one school made a choice that can lead to a greener Trinidad and Tobago? When you recycle glass, you create jobs, reduce waste, save resources, and help preserve our environment. Glass bottles and jars are 100% recyclable and can be reused indefinitely. Recycle your glass and join the Glass Loop movement today.
We must reopen the South Sea operation. There are tons of goodies to be released before the end of this month. And I expect your cooperation.
At the end of the month? But that's crazy.
In this business, there's only one way to solve your problems. If you don't do it, I will. Simple as that. I don't mind, really.
In Westwood Park, nothing stays hidden for long. Watch the drama unfold. Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. only on CNC3.
The fact that they ask the questions, those challenging questions that no other media house would ask. So, shed light on those things that are in the dark, those stories that no one else wants to cover.
I grew up reading The Guardian, actually. It's a household name.
About The Guardian, one thing that I like, the human interest stories have increased.
See the investigative pieces on the human trafficking. I find that very interesting.
You go more in depth.
On sports, especially local sports, and that's one of my highlights for The Guardian.
Yeah, I've been in Guardian since The Guardian started coming out, started working. I was a newspaper man.
The stories that are being covered are well detailed and you get more facts.
Also, I think the editorials, I think they're doing a good job and they're speaking the truth and, they're challenging the government to make things better.
Me in particular, of recently, in the last 2-3 months, I've been reading The Guardian. I'm seeing a lot of news about the neighborhoods and the communities. And I even saw my community featured, and I was proud.
The Guardian.
The Guardian?
The Guardian.
Trinidad
Guardian. The Guardian.
The Guardian.
Trinidad Guardian.
The Guardian is my first choice.
the acting head there of the Modern Studies Department at the Mount Hope Secondary School, Dr. Sasha John Charles Baines, joins me live on set. Great to have you back with us with what I could safely say is a massive development, a cultural exchange between some of your students. Of course, the parents must be included there. To beautiful St. Lucia, and I'm seeing it's happening from June 1st to the 6th.
Yes.
Which is very strategic because more or less the St. Lucia curriculum, that last business end of the last term, will still be in session.
Yes.
So school will still be out.
Yes.
Fantastic. Great to see you, Miss. Good
Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Walk me through the origins of this and I would imagine all the logistics to make this happen, because even though St. Lucia's right there, I know lots of planning must have been in the works to make this a reality.
Yes, well, definitely this started off with our cultural extravaganza last year. You know, my principal indicated that that's something that she always wanted to do, and I was totally on board. I thought it was a really great idea. So we executed a major cultural extravaganza last year where we invited various embassies, consulates, cultural groups, individuals such as Ernesto Jardine for wire bending, Rubadiri Dicta for Anansi, the Tamina Group for Dancy Coco, and we also partnered with THA and Alice as well. And upon the end of the cultural extravaganza in Trinidad, THA extended an invitation to us to Tobago. And for many of these students and parents, it was actually their first time going to Tobago. And it was so fantastic, it was so well received, and there was such a wealth of knowledge. I decided, you know what, it's time for us to do more. So I came up with the idea, let's go to somewhere in the Caribbean. And when we introduced it to Castries Comprehensive High School, they were completely on board.
Why St. Lucia and why Castries Comprehensive?
Well, I've been to St. Lucia before. It's a beautiful place, as I always say, and I was quite excited for the students to have the opportunity to experience it. And when we explained the concept to the school, they've been part of other cultural exchanges before, but never any with Trinidad, and not of this magnitude. So once they heard what we proposed, they were quite excited and eager to partner with us.
What's going to be the experience for the students when they make it across to St. Lucia from the 1st to the 6th of June?
Oh, well, it's a packed program. So we arrive on the 1st of June, and on the 2nd of June, which is a Tuesday, we will be putting on a presentation where we're going to showcase the talent of the students. They have the opportunity to shine. So we have several items that they would be displaying. And on the Wednesday, we have the opportunity to be treated to the presentations also by the St. Lucian School. And on the Thursday and Friday, we have different events where we will carry students to St. Lucia, around the island in St. Lucia, and then return on the Saturday.
Fantastic. Will the students from St. Lucia make their way to Trinidad sometime later this year?
Yes, that is a major part of the event. You know, it's really important for us to really share and ensure that we have an opportunity where the students can learn and develop and extend themselves. So it's really about helping the students also appreciate regional integration and helping us to understand who we are as Caribbean citizens, and that's a vital part of it.
Going to St. Lucia is not like going to St. Helena. Right? It's not a local cost, it's a regional cost. We're talking airfare, we're talking accommodation, you have to eat when you get there. How are you able to raise the resources for such a ambitious undertaking?
Well, we're actually still looking for financial support. As you have indicated, you know, that's quite a substantial amount to go to St. Lucia. And of course, we did fundraising and so forth. We reached out to corporate TNT, still looking forward. We still have the opportunity, if anyone would like to partner with us, to assist us in terms of the cost of covering tuning pans and, you know, certain items and whatnot. But, you know, we have done our best to see who we can carry in terms of what we could afford. But yes, we made it work.
And I'm seeing some of the parents too will be making the trip.
Oh yes, definitely. You know, a vital part of this is really ensuring that not only the students but also the parents are part of this event. It's very important because it's about helping to get buy-in to the vision and helping us to understand that there's room, there's space for the talents that the children have and being able to showcase it on a larger scale other than just in Trinidad.
You know, I must say, Miss, what you're doing is so phenomenal. Yes, school is the platform and that template for education. But I think the greatest knowledge you get in life is when you travel, when you see outside of your space, outside of your island. And even though it's in Lucia and it's right up the road, our neighbors up north, when those children reach land in Castries and they're able to see Grosile and go to the Piton and really get a chance to see something outside of what they're accustomed to, it's going to leave a lasting impression and mark. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful island you've chosen. I mean, I personally probably would have said Grenada or something because it's so close. But St.
It's just an hour, 10 minutes away,
right.
so we are really close.
St. Lucia's phenomenal. Those kids will be blown away, you know, because just aesthetically too, the island is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Great choice. I think this is something that you have tapped into a really amazing vein, and I can't see this as being a one-off. This is something that might definitely have to be part of the experience at Mount Hope.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is something that we really would like to continue. And in particular, the approach that we have towards this venture is that we're engaging in a cross-curricular approach. So we're actually merging departments. We're merging VAPA, we're merging social studies, we're merging IT, drama, and so forth, and we're English. So we're doing items such as spoken word and whatnot. So it's really about learning outside the classroom.
Ms. As we wrap things up, if anyone wants to send some resources to assist on this most amazing trip, how could they do such?
Or they could definitely reach out to the school. I really can't remember the number, but it's at the touch of Google. You Google it, and you will find the school's number. And you can reach out to the school principal, Mrs. Henry Legal.
Please come back now after the trip with some pictures and give us the nice little post-mortem, as it were.
I would love to have the opportunity to.
Yes. Well, Dr. Sasha John Charles Baines, thank you so much again. You were here to promote the cultural experience that was a tremendous success, and coming out of that, it's now morphed into this cultural exchange, right? So from an experience into an exchange.
Yes.
What will happen next year? We don't know. You see with this lady here? Big things, and well done to Mount Hope. So happy for the students there. Great, really, really, really great.
Thank you for having me.
So I've just been informed, I've been reliably informed there's going to be a press conference hosted by the Commissioner of Police at 8:30 a.m. And I'm sure during that particular conference, we will get some of the latest and the update concerning Baby Angelo there in Tobago. I know Officer Russell really could not speak in detail, but we have just been informed. At 8:30, there's going to be a press conference hosted by the TTPS, and of course, at the center of all of that, we'll hear remarks from the Commissioner of Police. We get ready for our weather update as we look to transition from my segment into Ian Wason. He's coming up next for the morning shot. But first, your weather.
Hi there, I'm Sigoni Mohammed with your daily dose of weather. Across the islands at this time, we still have a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust moving into the general area, as well as some low-topped cloudy pockets rolling in on those easterly traits. Now, we are seeing a little bit of moisture and instability at times in the atmosphere, but because of so much Saharan dust present, we're not really seeing a lot of deep convective activity. So not a lot of cloudiness building with showers and thunderstorm activity in the forecast. Unfortunately, what we will see over the next few hours will be another round of hot, hazy, and breezy conditions for Trinidad and Tobago. Take note, for those of you in Tobago, showers will be coming into play just after midday and staying with you for the majority of the afternoon. Into the rest of the island, for Trinidad, we'll be seeing that mixture of sunshine and cloudiness with a couple of showers in just a few areas. And the temperatures will still be quite warm, running really hot across the islands throughout the forecast period, which feels like temperatures approaching 40 degrees Celsius. So stay cool, stay hydrated, and if necessary, find a nice shady area and take a break at times. Now, For those of you heading offshore, thinking about catching some wave action, well, open water interest will see waves approaching 2 meters in height. If you're within the nearshore and sheltered areas, conditions do run slightly to occasionally choppy at times, so take note where that is concerned. But overall, we are anticipating winds coming out from an east-northeast to east-southeasterly direction, and the good news here is that we do not have any significant marine weather activity for the next 24-hour period, so it's smooth sailing if you decide to venture offshore. With that said, hey, that's wrapping your forecast. That's it from me.
Food Basket Marketplace, Arima, Shoguana, Shafle, and Goville. Everyday low prices. Clean and white bleach, 950 ml, $15. Blue Waters Cran Water, 1 liter, 2 for $15. Hibiscus all-purpose flour, 2 kilograms for $15. Hooks May cornmeal, 340 grams, $15. From fresh produce to pantry essentials and household items, visit Food Basket Marketplace, Arima, Shoguana, Shafle, and Goville. Food Basket Marketplace, where shopping is a pleasure and the price is right.
Looking for a smart way to grow your savings? For just a limited time, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Credit Union is offering competitive fixed deposit rates of up to 4%. That's up to 4% guaranteed when you invest with PCU Fixed Deposit. Visit any of our locations in Barataria, Arima, San Fernando, or Tobago to get started today. For more details, visit policecreditunion.com or call us at 6124-PCU. PCU. Your future is safe with us.
Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in Trinidad and Tobago, driven by 2 silent threats, diabetes and high cholesterol. But now there's a powerful ally, introducing Berberine Plus by Asia Nutrition, clinically proven to stabilize blood sugar and keep cholesterol levels in check. With 99.9% pure extract, you get superior absorption and real results. Available now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus. Your heart deserves better.
Get the story first. Want to know what's happening in news, sports, or crime? Get the CNC3 app. As the story breaks, CNC3 is there giving you the story first on your mobile device. Be connected to the most trusted and reliable news source, CNC3. Access your world with just a tap. The CNC3 app. Download it today.
Sportsmanship is when an athlete walks off the court and you can't tell if he won or lost because he carries himself with pride either way. This quote is an embodiment of sport, and for me, sport is an embodiment of life. We are where you are.
This is more than just music. This is where you find the best of TNT. This is more than just a vibe. This is where Bollywood gets a twist. This is more than just energy. This is Bhangra and indie pop too. This is the mix. This is the life. Lock on or log on now. Sangeet 106.1 FM. This is authentic East Indian radio. This is us.
Calling all filmmakers, producers, content creators, influencers, and recording artists. If you're looking to rent a versatile studio space with green screen, video wall, cyclorama, and more, look no further. GM Labs is here to make your dreams a reality. Located in the heart of Port of Spain on St. Vincent Street, GM Labs is your one-stop shop for all your creative needs with over 2,800 square feet to work with. Take your creative concept to the final product at GM Labs. Give us a call or WhatsApp or message us on our Instagram and Facebook pages at GM Labs TT.
Good morning and welcome to the morning shot where we talk sport. Up to the hour of 8 o'clock this morning, we are talking football because the World Cup starts in about 20 days from now. And we're also talking a bit about the UE Games. But before we go into all of that, let's look at the back page of our Guardian today because we have a lot to celebrate. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, they won their first 4-day title in 20 years. And congratulations to them, beating Guyana yesterday evening in Antigua, the North Sound Cricket Ground in Antigua, the Virtual Stadium. So congratulations to the Red Force team. Congratulations to skipper Joshua Da Silva, coach Riyad Emrit in winning this match by 141 runs. Congratulations to the Red Force. Now before I want to go into this morning, I don't know if you might have noticed that Jason Williams was extra happy this morning for the past couple of days celebrating Arsenal's English League win, the first time they would have won in 22 years. So we have Arsenal winning in 22 years, first time in 22 years. We have the Red Force winning for the first time in 20 years. So those the Brazilian fans for the World Cup might be thinking that this is their time to win the World Cup in 24 years. But we will wait and see what will happen, because we want to start this morning with the reigning champions, Argentina, and their defense of the World Cup. The World Cup, as I mentioned, will start in
Doing very well. I'm very excited about the World Cup. This is our fourth chance, the chance to win the World Cup. We have been champions 3 times already, and we are looking forward to have a great World Cup in the US.
How confident are you that Argentina can go back-to-back?
Personally, I'm not totally confident, because Messi is already 38, going to 39. And, the team is in the middle of a transition from the last World Cup. And I see, to be honest with you, stronger teams like France or Spain this year. So it's going to be a really tough challenge for us to get the 4th star.
Yes, and those are good points. But when I look back at the last 4 years with Argentina, yes, Messi is Messi, and he would have played a big role. But yes, very important to Argentina's success was Emiliano Martinez, Christian Romero, and Lisandro Martinez, the defense.
Right.
They are there again. They also have Otamendi, Molina, and these guys. So defense is based.
The old guys with experience, with the new guys with the new skills to offer to the team. But this is going to be a very competitive World Cup. The level of football has increased all over the world. So you see now other countries that normally they were not, or traditionally they were not, the candidates, and they are really, really good teams.
Yeah.
So we are 48 for the first time. This is the first time that the World Cup is going to be.
And of course, his output will not be like the 4 years ago. But eyebrows were raised, and talks about Argentina repeating as champions emerged when they beat Brazil in a World Cup qualifier 4-1 without Lionel Messi. And that would have showed people that, okay, maybe Argentina doesn't need Lionel Messi that much. They have players who can step up like Enzo Fernandez and young Prestiani. We have players who could help Messi more, and maybe Messi at 38 may not have to do as much as when he was 34.
Yeah, I agree with you. We have to play without having total dependency of Messi. Even during this World Cup, it could happen that, he gets injured or he's not feeling well. So we need to have a team out of Messi, without Messi. But of course, have him right now, even if he's 38, for us, is a plus. Because, you see him playing in the MLS. He's not running as fast as before, but he's playing really smart football. He's using his energy in a different way, and he can change a game in just a few seconds. That's our extra advantage, if you want to call it like that.
Yeah. But some concerns about the Argentina's preparations for the World Cup. The last 4 matches were not against teams that have been high profile. They have played teams like Zambia and Puerto Rico, and they have avoided the stronger teams from Europe. The hardest team Argentina would have played in the last year would have been in the World Cup qualifiers, but not since then. They have played a set of low-level teams in the preparation for the World Cup, and some people may say that might hamper the World Cup preparations.
Well, I'm still confident because most of our players are playing at the highest level of football ever around the world, especially in Europe. So it's not a question of they not having competition level. You know, they have been playing UEFA Championship, Champions League, Premier League, Spain League, France. So, you know, they are playing very good football right now. But it's true that as a team, they didn't have all the, you know, the preparation that we wished we have. But unfortunately, you know, sometimes there are other reasons like economic reasons, logistical reasons. You know, we are a country that most of our players are not playing in Argentina. Just a few of them are playing in our own national league. So to have them all together, it's really a nightmare sometimes when you need, you know, to fulfill the commitment of the clubs they belong to.
Yeah. But the good thing about it, every time the World Cup is being held in CONCACAF, whether it's the USA or Mexico, it's a South American team that wins. So it's only Brazil and Argentina that would have won the World Cup. So maybe this time around we could narrow the favorites to Argentina and Brazil this time.
Well, let's hope. You know, now that you mentioned CONCACAF, I want to say from my heart that I'm really, really sad that Trinidad and Tobago is not part of the competition. I was hoping, I had all my hope that this was the time, especially for, you know, the 48 format, for the, you know, more space for CONCACAF countries. And I was, you know, supporting the team. I went to all the games here in Trinidad. It's really a pity, and I hope you have another opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago to be in the World Cup. I know you had been already in one of the World Cups, but you know, I'm looking forward to having Trinidad and Tobago. You need to change something. I know you are doing something about the, you know, the law and the possibility of having foreign players with Trini background, but please do make sure that you are in the next World Cup.
Thank you so much, and we really, everybody were hoping that we would have been in the World Cup. But as an Argentine looking in, and I've been involved in Trinidad and Tobago for quite a while, what advice would you give to our football authorities to improve our football and our chances for the next World Cup?
Well, listen, I'm not only the ambassador of Argentina here. I'm a member of Central Master Team in Chaguanas. I personally play over 60s. In a place called Edinburgh 500. Maybe you heard about that.
Yes.
And I talk football with everyone here in Trinidad and Tobago, and everybody has the same opinion. You have the talent. You have the physical talent for the players, the technical talent. Maybe the problem you have is in terms of tactical discipline. And for that, you need to work from the very beginning of football. When, you know, you have little kids, you know, I wouldn't say toddlers, but almost toddlers. You learn football from that age in terms of the discipline, the strategic discipline you need. And for that, you need coaching. And, you know, we are, as Argentina, we are working very close with the TTFA. I'm very good friends with Kieron, your president, and we are trying to provide with cooperation for the future with, you know, football for young kids in terms of, you know, preparing the manpower you need to be one of the best players in the Caribbean. So I hope that in the short run, Trinidad and Tobago will be in the World Cup.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being with us here as well. And all the best to Argentina in the World Cup. Will you be attending the World Cup?
Of course, of course I will. I never lost one World Cup. I had the honor and the privilege of being in the three finals where Argentina became world champion. 78 in Argentina, I was 12. I was there at the stadium. Then in Mexico in 86, I was there. And then in Qatar in 2002. So I need to go there. I kind of a talisman. I don't wanna be losing that game in case we reach the final, of course.
And hopefully you will be there when they win the fourth title as well.
I hope so, and I will bring a replicate of the cup to Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, thank you so much, Your Excellency, Mr. Pandiani, and all the best.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you. And that was the ambassador, the Argentina ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency Gustavo Pandiani. So we have more when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We are talking UE Games.
This is Mary. Mary has bills to pay and takes a chance parking in front of the building at the no parking sign. Mary returns to her car, and this is what happens. Mary decides to call when she's 5 minutes away to let her daughter know that she is close by. But Mary forgot one thing.
Boy, second ticket for the day. I don't know, nah? I really don't know. Well, I tell you.
After 2 tickets, Mary just isn't paying attention to her speed.
You see a fixed penalty notice, fixing speed by 15 kilometers. You have 30 years to pay, 15 years to contest.
It has short other people. Look at other people passing. All they ain't seen them. All they seen me, right? Eh? All they too wicked.
Don't be like Mary. Obey the laws of the road. A message from the TTPS.
The fact that they ask the questions, those challenging questions that no other media house would ask. To, shed light on those things that are in the dark, those stories that no one else wants to cover.
I grew up reading The Guardian, actually. It's a household name.
About The Guardian, one thing that I like, the human interest stories have increased.
See the investigative pieces on the human trafficking. I find that very interesting.
You go more in depth.
On sports, especially local sports, and that's one of my highlights for The Guardian.
Yeah, I read in Guardian, The Guardian started coming out, started working. I was a newspaper man.
The stories that are being covered are well detailed and you get more facts.
Also, I think the editorials, I think they're doing a good job and they're speaking the truth, and they're challenging the government to make things better.
Me in particular, of recently, the last 2-3 months, I've been reading The Guardian. I'm seeing a lot of news about the neighborhoods and the communities, and I even saw my community featured, and I was proud.
Oh, The Guardian.
The Guardian?
Guardian.
Trinidad Guardian.
The Guardian.
The Guardian.
Trinidad Guardian.
The Guardian is my first choice.
This is more than just music. This is where you find the best of TNT. This is more than just a vibe. This is where Bollywood gets a twist. This is more than just energy. This is Bhangra and indie pop too. This is the mix. This is the life. Lock on or log on now. Sangeet 106.1 FM. This is authentic East Indian radio. This is us.
Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to the Morning Shot. Now we are talking some excitement because we are talking the UE Games, and to help us understand more about the UE Games, we have Ms. Laura Rambaran Sipasad, who is the UE Games Coordinator, and Mr. Vaid Anand, who is the Guild President. So good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And how are you this morning?
Very good. We're good. All excited and ready.
Great. So when are the games starting?
The games are starting on Friday officially, Friday 22nd.
Friday 22nd. So where, well, before we get into where, what are the different activities that we'll be having during this time?
Right, so right now for UE Games 2026, we're going to have 10 different sporting disciplines, from cricket, football, lawn tennis, basketball, table tennis. Hockey, basketball. Yeah? It goes on. It's swim, very expansive. Track and field.
Track and field, that's great.
Yes, we have a whole day of track and field.
And where are the venues? Because especially where will be the track and field?
So track and field will be held at the Hazy Crawford Stadium. So we have a whole day of activities there. With that day of track, we also have a memorial football match. It's in honor of a student that passed away during one of the games. So we have a memorial football. So it's a nice, fun match to interject the track event. So start with a student match.
So, okay, great.
Students will be taking it this year.
Nice. So well, you gave me the start of the of the games. When will the games end?
The games end on the 29th.
The
29th is our final day, yes.
Oh, so you have a lot of games.
Yes, but you were speaking about the venues.
Yes.
So the Hazy Crawford Stadium is not the only venue.
Right,
that's just one day.
That will be for the track and field.
Yes,
right.
but predominantly it's at our Sports and Physical Education Center.
Of course. Of
yes.
course. That goes without saying.
Yes, and it's, in addition to that, we also have the football field. So we have football is there. We also are engaged in the National Aquatic Center.
Right. And the Racket Center.
And the Rackets and Hockey Center.
We're all over Trinidad.
So the other, once the disciplines can take place at UWI-SPEC, it will be there.
It will be there.
Just the other sports, obviously, like the swimming and the track and field, will take place elsewhere.
Correct.
And we would love, to use the facilities. These are really nice national facilities that we have. And Sports City has, gracefully allowed us to use these facilities as well.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, the UWI-SPEC is also a very good facility as well that has been used.
State of the art.
Yeah. And has been used by the West Indies Cricket Board to host first-class competition and things like that. So it's a very good, it's good to see that we are putting it to good use for the UWI Games.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Now, of course, we are at a time now where funding is a bit of a concern. We have several sports organizations crying they have no money. How is this being funded?
Oh, so we've sought the sponsorship from vendors and stuff. So we have a couple of sponsors on board. The UWI is contributing a lot to it as well, but we have sponsors on board currently, yes.
Okay, great. Now, I want to bring in Mr. Anand in the conversation. I know what people say, I'm only talking to one guest. What about the athletes who would have been part of this venture, who would have gone on to progress, whether it's playing for West Indies or playing for their national football team or what have you?
So it's not just UWI St. Augustine, it's across the region. So we have athletes who have come through UWI space for the past couple of decades.
Jehu Gordon, we have Jehu Gordon.
Who's our coach actually for St. Augustine's track team.
We also have Darren Ganga.
Darren Ganga would have played as well. I know he would have been, I think, a manager or...
Yeah, he was with both West Indies crickets as well as
the combined campuses and colleges team.
It's like inspirational as well. He also a commentator now. He works at the sporting academy as well. Yeah.
Right, and that's.
So there's a lot of inspiration. And Jay, who is there, he coaches our students as well.
That is great. That is so great. Now, these games. We have 10 sporting games, disciplines. We have very fierce competition among the different Mona, UWI, and things like that.
So it's 5 campuses.
Five, right. Mona, 5 Islands, Global Campus, Cape Hill Campus, and St. Augustine, of course, we're going to.
The champions.
So
we're going to take it home.
So by next time, we'll have the DB Campus. Just want to put that in there. Just want to, because we need media like
yes, of course.
We like confusion. We love confusion. Now, can members of the public who love sport and who want to see the sport, can we just come and watch?
So I can say this, Trinis love freeting.
Yeah, for real.
And the games are free. Bring your family, make it a fun day. Come and see the sport. Come and see the best athletes in the region. Make it a spectacle, because it's the first time in 6 years we're having the games. Yeah. So it's really something to enjoy.
This is the first time in 6 years we have any games, or first time in 6 years we have the games in Trinidad?
In 6 years we have any games. Both.
Okay,
so
great.
the last games were in 2019.
Right.
Because of COVID, it would have been the break. And Laura and Deputy Principal, Professor Chidi, worked very, very hard, to bring it back. It's been quite a couple months of planning.
Oh, that is
so we've been doing it nearly a year, and I would say Vedan was mentioning about the public. So we are open, but it's on a registration basis.
Yeah. Right.
So our alumni, we welcome our staff, our students, and of course family would want to come and see there. But so there's a registration link. You go to our website and you get that link. You register, and we'd love to see you. So we're inviting persons for the individual games, but a restricted number.
Right.
So the first come, first serve.
Walk in.
No, can't just walk in.
And what we have as well, we're also inviting schools. On 2 days, when we're at Hazy Crawford Stadium, we're inviting secondary schools, and also 1 day on campus, we have schools coming in as well.
That is so great. That is so good to hear. And for a long time, there have been talk about in different sports, whether it's football, cricket, or what have you, that transition from playing for under 20 football into the national senior team. How would this UE Games bridge that gap between under 20 and the national senior team?
Well, the fact of the matter is it's highly publicized. You know, this is where athletes can make their name. You know, if an athlete is brilliant in the discipline, this is the best stage to showcase that. We have top-class cricketers like Mr. Cyan Hackett, who's our captain for the cricket team.
Okay, I was thinking of, because I was wondering where he was. Usually I would see his name popping up at Queen's Park play. I haven't seen him all season.
Yeah, so he's the captain of our cricket team. We have persons from Belize, Jameer Young, who's our basketball team captain, and the list can go on. We have persons from across the Caribbean who are pursuing academics and can also show their valor in sports. And this is the stage for it.
Great. Who's the basketball coach, though? Because I know at one time it used to be Mario Davis at one time. Who's the coach now?
I'm trying to remember his name, and it's not coming to me right now.
All right, no problem. But I guess I'll see when I come to watch.
Yes, we're looking forward
to
it.
The idea of the games, as well as being, and I will agree, is to have that stage. That regional stage. We're bringing athletes. There's over 650 athletes coming from 17 contributing countries. So that stage is open there for, you know, scouts, and that's what we want to bring in, coming in the next games, invite scouts to come in to look at our athletes and be able to select, because these are the up-and-coming stars. These are the Brian Laras, the Dwight Yorks. These are the people that you're going to look out for in the future. These are the names that are going to be called.
Yes, so all the athletes would have already arrived in Trinidad?
So they started arriving a week ago. Global campus. Last night we had 5 islands, half of the contingent, and today we have Cave Hill, 5 islands as well, Mona campus. So by tonight everybody should be here.
Okay, great.
It's a party in St. Augustine.
A party in St. Augustine. Okay, great. So remind us again, when is the tournament starting and when the games are being completed?
So competition starts on the 22nd, Friday 22nd of May, and it ends on the 29th of May.
Right, just about 1 week.
9 days.
9 days.
9 fun-filled, energetic, packed days.
Great. Now, I know there is no CCC playing cricket again because, of course, financial constraint by the CWI. How important, how would be the cricketers looking forward to this competition?
Well, I can tell you that they're very, very excited. I mean, when you're the best team going in, you must be excited. So, I mean, I'm confident that I can come back here in 9 days' time and tell you that St. Augustine is going to win the cricket. I mean, we have an amazing, amazing team, and they've been training for and building that chemistry for over a year. We have cricketers from Barbados, like Mr. Renico Allen, who's an excellent bowler. We have guys from St. Lucia, Mr. Amari, amazing guys. So we're excited.
All the best. I just hope that we could beat them in the track and field, the Jamaicans in the track and field. I'm just hoping that.
You know, that's a big question there, if we can beat Mona.
Well, hopefully we will. Want to thank you both for spending some time with us this morning, and all the best, and hopefully once I could register in time, I could come and watch a few.
Yes, we welcome you. So much for having us. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Now, that was talking about the UE Games. So looking forward, go get registered so you can go and watch some of the games. So we want to thank you for joining us, and join us tomorrow morning again from 6 o'clock as we join Mr. Jason Williams. So all the best. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
You're watching CNC3. As an affiliate of CNN International, we now join their current programming.
On AI infrastructure. According to the layoffs tracker, Layoffs FYI, more than 114,000 tech employees have been laid off this year alone.
Gosh. Wow, understandably, so many on the fence about the whole idea about AI technology, especially if, you know, it means sacrificing your job.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Claire Duffy, great to see you. Thank you so much. All right, a new hour of CNN News Central starts right now.
All right, breaking overnight, Iran is rebuilding its arsenal faster than initially estimated. That is brand new CNN reporting from sources saying Iran is rapidly rebuilding its military capabilities during the ceasefire. What this means is President Trump weighs his next move on Iran. And backlash growing at the Department of Justice's anti-weaponization fund, even some Republicans angry. Now, 2 January 6 police officers are trying to block the fund. And it is the end of an era in late night. Stephen Colbert signs off tonight from The Late Show, ending his run and the iconic show itself. The surprises he's planning for this highly anticipated finale. John and Kate, they're out today. I'm Sarah Seidner, in with Frederica Whitfield. This is CNN News Central. All right, breaking for you this morning, Iran already building new drones and rearming at a pace that's blown past U.S. intelligence timelines. That is according to brand new CNN reporting. One U.S. official tells us that Iran could restore its drone fleet in as soon as 6 months. That's according to some intelligence estimates. But the Pentagon seems to be telling Congress something very different. The head of U.S. Central Command testified this week that strikes destroyed 90% of Iran's defense industrial base and that Iran cannot reconstitute for years. All of this comes as President Trump is weighing his next move on Iran. He said he called off a new round of strikes on Tuesday that he had planned. And CNN has learned that decision led to a tense phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who pushed to resume kinetic operations. CNN's senior national security reporter Zach Cohen is joining me now. Look, this is some of your reporting on Iran's military capabilities now. What did you learn? What can you tell us this morning?
Yeah, Sarah, we're learning that Iran is working to actively rebuild its production facilities and replenish its weapons inventories after taking on significant damage in those initial U.S.-Israeli strikes. And look, one example of this that sources said is reflected in the U.S. intelligence assessments is that Iran is already producing some of its drones and trying to restore its drone attack capability, which was among those degraded in those combat operations that we saw previously play out. And as you mentioned, a U.S. official telling us that Iran could restore its drone attack capability in a matter of 6 months, which, of course, is a very accelerated timeline, especially compared to what the U.S. intelligence community had initially estimated. And that's true for a variety of weapons components. We're told that while the timelines do vary from weapon component to weapon component, that more broadly, the Iranians are proving that they can rebuild more quickly than anybody really thought. And so this is a little bit different than the messaging we're hearing from top Pentagon officials, including Admiral Brad Cooper, the CENTCOM commander, who testified just this week that 90% of Iran's defense industrial base had destroyed, and that has set them back years before they could reconstitute their military capabilities. Take a listen to what Cooper told the House Armed Services Committee on Tuesday.
Operation Epic Fury significantly degraded Iran's ballistic missiles and drones while destroying 90% of their defense industrial base, ensuring that Iran cannot reconstitute for years.
So we're also told that Iran still maintains significant ballistic missile capability and thousands of drones that it could use if combat operations resume. We know Donald Trump is currently weighing whether or not to restart this war as these negotiations play out. But ultimately, the top line here, Sarah, is that Iran remains a threat at the moment with its remaining missile and drone capability, and its ability to reconstitute more quickly than the U.S. initially anticipated means that it could continue to be a threat for the long term.
Yeah, those drones are sort of the new way of warfare. I know you'll be watching and learning all that you can about this. Thank you so much. Great reporting from you, Zach Owen. Appreciate it this morning. Fred?
All right, this morning, both a strong defense and mounting criticism of the nearly $2 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund established by the Trump administration. Critics calling it a slush fund and warning that it could benefit 2020 election deniers and January 6 Capitol rioters, including those who assaulted police officers at the Capitol. But the acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, is defending the fund. Here's how he responded to the criticism.
Just to be clear, people that hurt police get money all the time.
Okay, there's a process where if you believe you have your rights violated, you can apply for funds, you can sue, you can file a claim, you can go to court. In some of those cases, the state, the government, the federal government settles those cases. It's abhorrent to ever touch a law enforcement officer, which is why anytime anybody does that, and it's a federal officer, we'll prosecute them. But that's a completely different question with whether an individual is allowed to apply for a claim.
With me now is former Deputy Assistant Secretary for Economic Policy, Natasha Sarin. Natasha, great to see you. I mean, what's your reaction to hearing the Acting Attorney General with that explanation?
You know, I think we kind of have to evaluate the nature of this settlement by first understanding the nature of this case. And we're in a situation where the judge in this suit had actually asked the parties to brief on whether or not there was a case at all, because as the president himself has made clear, he was on both sides of this. He was suing the government that he himself runs. And so when you think about settlements from the government's perspective, you decide to pursue them when that's in the best interest of the government. In this case, it's really hard to argue that there was any case clearly to settle at all that would make such an action appropriate, even if the settlement made sense. And this is the type of settlement that we're talking about here, where we're talking about deploying $1.8 billion of taxpayers' dollars in ways that look like they're going to be rewarding political allies. And that is just unprecedented and frankly destructive to democracy and the rule of law in this country.
It's very contradictory, because you've got the Acting Attorney General saying it's okay for people who were convicted of crimes on Capitol Hill, some of whom were caught on video committing crimes, to be compensated for committing these crimes and enduring the consequences. I mean, how can this not be anything but rewarding people who advocated for Trump by trying to disrupt Congress from certifying an election?
Yeah, and it's deeply problematic and harkens back, frankly, to the Nixon administration, which used the tax system in order to try and punish their enemies and benefit their proponents. And in response to that type of weaponization of government, you saw an incredibly aggressive push, a bipartisan push with respect to making good government reforms. And you're starting to frankly hear that right now on Capitol Hill, because it's not just that this is a partisan matter where one side is raising concern with the nature of the administration of this fund or what even it looks like in practice. You're frankly hearing it on both sides of the aisle.
Right. In fact, Congress, I mean, what can it do since the Department of Justice unilaterally, kind of agreed to this settlement, but at the same time, you have lawmakers who say we're the ones who control the purse strings?
Yeah, it's actually a really challenging question, right? Because you saw the judge in that case say this was a voluntary withdrawal of a suit. There wasn't actually space for her or capacity for her to weigh in on the nature of this settlement because it wasn't one that was filed with her. And now you're in a situation where potentially there's a role for Congress to try to get involved and say, we actually don't think it's appropriate to take these funds and deploy them in this way from the perspective of the administration. But I think that's kind of a tenuous and challenging arena that's going to take time to play out. And in the interim, while Congress is trying to figure out exactly what capacity it has to act, you're in a situation where the American people are rightly frustrated by a system where they paid tax dollars into the U.S. government and are watching those tax dollars be deployed in this way. And I think, frankly, that's deeply problematic.
Yeah. All right. Natasha Sarin, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sarah.
All right. Thank you so much, Frederica. Coming up, an American doctor infected with Ebola now slowly getting better. We have an update on his condition. And Elon Musk on the brink of becoming the world's first trillionaire. Yes, with a T. Why is that happening? What's going on? It has to do with SpaceX. We'll talk about that ahead. Plus, the home of video gaming grandmama gets swatted during a live stream. You've got to see this.
Dear Africa, thank you for your energy, your inspiration, your voice. We've watched in awe with every call made, every story shared, every dream chased. And today, we celebrate 300 million people connected as one Indian nation. The future is alive with endless possibility, and it starts with just one simple word.
Yellow.
Hello, thank you for calling the Guaranteed Life Insurance Helpline. How can I assist you today?
Hi, this is Marie, and I'm looking for life insurance. I just lost my sister and her family. They weren't ready. The bills, the funeral, everything, it's too much. And I don't want my own family to have to go through that. I saw this commercial about guaranteed acceptance life insurance, no health questions, no exams. Is that really true?
Marie, I'm so sorry for your loss. Yes, it's true. With a guaranteed acceptance life insurance plan, your acceptance is guaranteed if you're between the ages of 50 and 85. You can get up to $25,000 in coverage. No medical exams, no health questions. Plus, the money can even be paid to your loved ones within 24 hours. You can have peace of mind knowing they'll have this support.
That's such a relief to hear, but I'm concerned about the price. How much does it cost?
I understand, Marie. Guaranteed acceptance whole life policies start at less than $7 a month. It's designed to give you peace of mind, knowing you've done what you can to help protect your family, so they won't have to face that extra weight when the time comes.
Thank you so much. This means everything to me.
If you're between the ages of 50 and 85, you automatically qualify for up to $25,000 in life insurance plan coverage. There are no health questions and no medical exams. You cannot be turned down due to health. Your acceptance is guaranteed. Policies start at $6.38 per month, with most benefits paid in as little as 24 hours. And best of all, your rate will never increase. That's our rate lock guarantee.
I feel better knowing my family will have this support no matter what. It's such a weight off my shoulders.
I'm so glad I could help. That peace of mind is exactly what we want to provide you at a cost that works for you.
Call the Guaranteed Life Insurance Helpline now and get up to $25,000 in coverage.
Call 800-409-5215. 800-409-5215.
Boost your confidence inside and out. Winona offers personalized hormone therapy for women who want to feel strong, balanced, and like themselves again. Whether you're dealing with low energy, mood changes, or low libido, this is real medical care. Bioidentical hormones, personalized and delivered discreetly to your door, so you can feel like your best self again in every part of your life. Find personalized hormone care with Winona. Still using pads and diapers for incontinence? It's 2025. There's a better way. Meet Everdries. They make these amazing leak-proof underwear for women over 60. Learn more at everdries.com/TV.
VCRs are extinct, film reels are fading, and old photos are fragile.
Old formats won't last, but Legacy Box saves them. Professionally digitized, easy to stream, and ready to share. Join the millions of families who have trusted Legacy Box today.
Play it right. Win some, lose some. Laugh all night.
Learn more at board.fun.
At Sundays for Dogs, we start with all natural, human-grade ingredients. Then we air dry the food to preserve nutrients and flavor. See the difference real food makes in your dog's life. Get 30% off your first box today.
All right, breaking news, U.S.-bound flights that are carrying passengers who were recently in the Ebola-affected area of Africa must land at Dulles International Airport in Virginia, according to a new Department of Homeland Security document posted in the Federal Register. We have also learned that at least 10 CDC staffers are being sent to Dulles to screen passengers. We also have new details this morning about the American doctor who is undergoing treatment after contracting Ebola while working in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Dr. Peter Stafford is now at a Berlin hospital where his family is also in quarantine. The World Health Organization has deemed the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. The Democratic Republic of Congo says at least 148 deaths there are linked to Ebola and that there are 575 suspected cases. CNN's Fred Pleitgen is in Berlin for us this morning. What can you tell us about the treatment that Dr. Stafford is receiving, as we understand that he is doing better this morning?
Yeah, apparently he is doing somewhat better than he had been during the time when he was actually still in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sarah. That isolation ward that he's in is actually in this hospital compound that you see behind me. We've been in touch with the German health ministry, and the health minister telling us that he is, as she put it, in stable condition. We've also been in touch with the organization Serge that actually sent him to the Democratic Republic of Congo. and they say they've been in touch with him and that he still has a fever, he has some nausea, he still has some lightness of head, as they put it. But one of the things that they say is quite positive is that he is actually still able to communicate with them via text message. And that's something that one of the members of Serge actually told our own Anderson Cooper last night. Let's listen in.
Our leaders have been in touch with Peter today via text, and so we're grateful that he's even able to do that, just because a day ago he needed assistance to walk and was experiencing severe symptoms. So now that he's at the hospital in Germany, he's been able to eat, he's able to text and be fully present. So these are positive signs.
So as you can see there, Sarah, things apparently going somewhat better for him after Peter Stafford apparently was quite weak, actually, when he was still in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Also, getting into that medevac flight, apparently an issue as well. I can tell you from being on the ground here throughout all of yesterday, when both Peter Stafford arrived and then in the evening, the rest of his family, his wife Rebecca and the children also arrived here as well. It is a pretty huge logistical operation that's been going on, a massive convoy with ambulances, police cars, and cars from the fire department as well, just to bring the family here to the isolation ward at the Charité Hospital in Berlin. The latest that we're getting is that the rest of the family are still asymptomatic. They've tested negative for the Ebola virus. All of them, though, of course, are still going to have to spend, say, around 2 weeks probably here in quarantine inside the isolation ward. Peter Stafford himself, of course, a lot longer because he, of course, is positive for the Ebola virus. Nevertheless, as we've heard there from his organization, he appears to be doing somewhat better, and they hope that that does continue, Sarah.
Yeah, that is some good news. It's just extraordinary when you see the amount of PPE, the amount of protective gear, and the apparatus they use just to get one person to the hospital so that no one else contracts it. It is dangerous. There is no known cure, and there's certainly no vaccine for it. Fred Pleitgen, thank you so much to you for sort of walking us through all that. It is remarkable and good to know that he's doing better. Appreciate it. All right, ahead. Caught on camera, fire spreads through a house, and a mother ends up having to toss her baby from a second-story window. The incredible moments. An officer is there to record it all and ends up catching the baby.
It's like when my daughters do something good, they want to be recognized for it.
There he is. Flava Flav plans for a massive party on the Las Vegas Strip to celebrate female athletes in one step closer to becoming a reality, and you know he has something wild planned.
We have visitors in this wild place. And when the dawn breaks, it offers you a choice. What will you do with another day? Poncho, made for it.
Relay gives us visibility into not just the amount of money we have, but the work that it's doing. And it gives us something to build toward without so much of the financial anxiety that we had before.
Meet the Lectric XP4, your foldable, powerful, go-anywhere electric bike. Ride up to 28 miles per hour with a motor built for speed and torque. Travel up to 65 miles on a single charge. Stop quickly with hydraulic brakes and ride comfortably with front suspension. And when you're done, fold it up in seconds for easy storage. Lectric is America's favorite e-bike. Get out, get going, get the Lectric XP4.
Meet the most insightful way to never scoop again. Litter Robot 5 Pro, the next generation of litter robot. Litter Robot 5 Pro from Whisker, the greatest invention since cats.
Do you know where your money goes each month? Take a deep breath and follow the flow of your finances with Monarch. All your money, one clear view, total peace of mind.
biggest trends, the latest business ventures, and the boldest investments pushing the continent forward.
We're all required to build a better Africa.
Who will see profits? What opportunities will come? Where will growth take shape?
We've positioned ourselves within the community that we want to empower.
And how will it all impact the global economy?
We want to provide people with opportunities for them to be their best, to build meaningful careers.
Join me, Zain Asher, on Marketplace Africa.
This weekend on CNN.
We've always started in the same place, real people and real impact.
We are CNN International's brand studio.
Connection is at the heart
of what we do.
We are storytellers.
Inspired by people.
Powered by insight.
For 20 years,
the world's most respected brands
have trusted us to tell their stories.
Informing, inspiring, creating connection.
I'm Matthew Chance in Tehran, and this is CNN.
All right, new this morning, SpaceX has officially unveiled its plans to go public, pulling back the curtain on one of the world's most secretive private companies. And it could make the world's richest person, Elon Musk, even richer. This initial public offering could put Musk on pace to become the world's first trillionaire. But it's all contingent on hitting some lofty stock valuations and building technology to make life multiplanetary. But those goals come at a huge cost. CNN's David Goldman is with me now. Okay, well, we see the potential payoff for him, but what are the costs?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the wildest IPOs. I've been covering these for a long time, but I haven't seen something quite like this. So just look at the mission statement of SpaceX. They say they want to build systems and technologies necessary to make life multiplanetary, as you said, to understand the true nature of the universe and extend the light of consciousness to the stars. So that is what the company is wanting to do. How is it going to do it?
Yeah.
To your point, it has to spend a ton of money. Okay, so the company
has a lot of money.
It has a lot of money. It's making a ton of money, $18.7 billion last year, and that's up a third from the year before. So we're talking about a lot of money coming into the company, but it's losing almost $5 billion last year. Now, that's last year. This year alone, right? Okay. $4.7 billion in revenue, and it's already lost $4.3 billion.
Oh, well, wait a minute then. This is not looking good.
It's not looking great. Why is it losing so much money?
Yeah.
And the reason is AI. This company wants to put data centers into space because if you think about it, once you build an AI data center, all you have to do is cool it, and that costs so much money. It's basically a giant refrigerator that runs, computing. So if you put it into space, you don't have to worry about the cooling, you don't have to worry about the power, you got the sun behind you. This is the ambition of SpaceX, because with all of its satellite technologies that are beaming communications down to Earth already, it's got that infrastructure, we know that works. Why don't you put AI data centers into space? And that's what they're doing. But they've already, last year, they spent $20.7 billion
Incredible.
On all of their ventures. $12.7 billion was from AI.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So going public with these kind of losses, what does that scenario potentially look like?
Well, I mean, investors have given Elon Musk the benefit of the doubt for a long time, right? I mean, Tesla makes 4 cars. So they're being treated, though, like an AI and a robotics company, a future of the world kind of thing, even though they're not even making as much as GM, but they're worth multiple times more than that. This is going to be the same kind of thing, just with space and AI.
Yeah, the vision is part of the potential capital.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right, David Goldman, thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, coming up, straight ahead, The Late Show's swan song tonight. Stephen Colbert signs off for the final time and bids farewell to the franchise that has helped define late-night television. And imagine 1 minute being on a hot air balloon ride, and the next you're stuck more than 900 feet in the air. The daring rescue of a Texas fire department pulling off from towering heights.
Are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind when you fill up. Start earning cash back. Download the free Upside app to get cash back for simply buying gas. It's that easy. Frequent users have made $200 this year already. So what are you waiting for? Get in on the action and start getting cash back on the gas you're already buying.
Everyone I know is talking about Upside. It's a free app that literally gives you cash back for filling your gas tank.
If you like free money, download Upside.
Just download the free Upside app and use promo code JOBS for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. Stop leaving money on the table. Earn cash just for buying the gas you were going to buy anyway. Download the free Upside app and join millions of users who are earning money every day with Upside. Use promo code JOBS for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. Plus, you can cash out anytime.
I just got cash back for commuting to work, and I've made $200 this year already.
I thought it was too good to be true, but it's legit. I'm getting cash back for getting gas I needed to buy anyway with Upside.
Download the free Upside app now to get cash back on everyday gas purchases. Use promo code JOBS for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. If you drive, you need Upside. Earn cash back for simply buying gas. Plus, you can cash out anytime. So whether you're driving around town a couple times a week or driving hundreds of miles every day, Upside is for you. Don't wait. Frequent users have made $200 this year already. So don't wait. Use promo code JOBS for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. So what are you waiting for? Get in on the action and start getting cash back on the gas you're already buying. Download the free Upside app to get cash back for simply buying gas. It's that easy. Download the free Upside app now to get cash back on everyday gas purchases. Use promo code JOBS for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code JOBS for a 25 cents a gallon bonus. Use promo code JOBS for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank.
Your house might not be a mansion, but it still deserves a $19 pro home cleaning. Your cleaner will scrub everything from your toilet to your stovetop. Your whole place will be vacuumed and dusted. Honestly, you might think the price is too good to be true, but once you try it, you'll never go back to cleaning the house yourself. Pick a date, choose your cleaner, and book your first cleaning today for only $19.
With Redfin, your next place is just a tap away. Whether you're looking to buy your dream home or rent a sweet pad, see it up close and personal. Schedule a tour right in the app. Download Redfin today.
So I downloaded this app called Elevate, and it's actually an award-winning brain training app. I can get a workout done in under 5 minutes, and it just makes me so much more confident in my vocab skills. So don't settle for a basic vocabulary, and download it today to see for yourself.
We've shared the stories of Africa's brightest stars, and now we're opening up the conversation. Raw, real, and revealing. This is African Voices.
This week, YouTube's former director of black music and culture, Tuma Basa.
Can you talk about what your next venture is after YouTube?
I declare myself the creative director of Tuma Basa.
You're creative director of yourself?
Yes.
African Voices on CNN in association with Glow.
In every corner of Africa are breathtaking landscapes, inspiring breakthroughs.
All right, let's go!
And the people that enrich communities. Delve deep into every facet of this great continent. Inside art and culture, sports, inside business, tech, and so much more. Inside Africa on CNN in association with Zenith Bank.
He's done it again. Unai Emery leads. A big name returns for Germany's World Cup squad 2 years after his international retirement. And SGA puts on a show and puts the Thunder back on level terms in the Western Conference Finals. Hi, thanks for joining us. Welcome along to World Sport Live from London with me, Amanda Davis. Aston Villa are getting set for a party on the streets of Birmingham after winning their first major European trophy since 1982. They took Europa League victory with a 3-0 win over Freiburg in Istanbul. On paper, a remarkable achievement given they were relegated from the Premier League only 10 years ago. But perhaps not as much of a surprise given they have Mr. Europa League himself, Unai Emery, in charge. He has now won this competition 5 times. It's being talked about as a real watershed moment for Villa after blowing away their German opponents. It was 4 minutes.
It's all good, you know.
we put in a shift, tough performance. We had a great season, and to top it off with this, it's amazing.
It's hard to put into words. We've worked so hard for this. We knew we had one more game to give it our all, and we all delivered, and we came through. Great moment for the fans, great moment for the club. It'll go down in history. It's a great moment.
Amazing, amazing. You know, to perform like that, yeah, it was unbelievable. I felt like we really controlled the game, and yeah, we punished them in the end.
Well, that was just the start of the celebrations. For more, I'm delighted to say, joining us live now, Rob Carlos, author of Sunshine After the Rain, Aston Villa's rise from the Championship to the Champions League. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, how does that rank in your days and nights as a Villa fan?
Hi, Amanda. It ranks very, very, very highly. Not quite 1982 standards, but after 30 years of us not, I got 6-1 on it at the start of the season, so I'm pretty happy about it.
So how much is that you're actually taking home? I'm not sure I'm allowed to ask you that, but I dare say it's going to be an extra special party for you. But you talked about the Unai Emery magic. He's very much played down, that talk of him being the king of this competition. But if you were to try and pinpoint what it is that's his secret sauce with it, what would that be?
I just think it's a belief in him. He's got a system where he effectively takes over clubs, and it's really worked with us. You know, he's a 24/7 man when it comes to his football and his philosophy, and I love the way that he plays down our chances. He's not the first manager to do that, and I do think that the best of managers are very good at playing down, knowing that deep down and in that dressing room they've got the full confidence that that they can take us further. So I think it's great kidology from our manager, but I think he's got a system, he's got a belief, and everybody at the club has bought into that over the 4 years that he's been with us. And it's, we were near the bottom of the league when he first came over, and we managed to get into Europe at the end of that season, which nobody would have put money on. Even I wouldn't have put money on that one. So for him to continue with the success that he's had with other clubs in this competition has just been absolutely brilliant. And this is the first time ever that Aston Villa will be competing in 4 European competitions. We've done 3 in the past, but this is him taking us further. And now the plan, in my eyes, is to keep that Champions League, at the very least Europa, going for the next 3 or 4 seasons, and longer than that.
And when you look at the context of what happened to Villa and where they were as a club 10 years ago, I mean, what were your fears 10 years ago, and how do you sum up the journey since then?
Football to me, Amanda, is about the moments, and we can go back a little bit further than 10 years. It's almost 13, 14 now, and this is the basis of my book from 2009 to 2023. Martin O'Neill put all his eggs into one basket. It didn't quite work out for him. We then went through a period of changing managers a lot and looking like we could be relegated, for a few seasons. And 10 years ago, we were actually relegated. So we've come full circle, but we've had to go through some pretty poor choice managers to get where we are today. And as soon as I knew that we got Unai Emery 4 years ago, or almost 4 years ago now, I thought that would be the turning point. And a lot of Villa fans have said that to me as well.
And so, as you rightly said, Champions League football secured again for next year. But how far away do you think this Villa side is from Premier League success? I mean, are you allowing yourself to dream about that?
I wouldn't be putting money on it like I did on the Europa League for next season. But the main thing is what we've got to do is maintain the status that we've now got. You know, we've become a top 6 club and you know, over the last 2 or 3 seasons, that's been top 4. What we've got to do is just build on that now, keep the basis of the team that we've got, because obviously they're good enough. But what we need to do now is bring in those, you know, 3 or 4 players over the summer that can take us further. But in my eyes, you know, we can go as far as we want to. Maybe in terms of Champions League success, if you're defining that on winning it, I don't think we're quite there yet. But teams now know about Aston Villa in Europe again, and you know, if they're drawn against us in the group stages or in the, you know, the knockout stages, they're going to know they're going to be in a game with Aston Villa. So, you know, to me, it's maintain, add where we can do, and then see where we are in a couple of years' time. But now we've won a trophy for the first time in 30 years. I hope this opens the floodgates for us now.
The optimism of life as a Villa fan. Rob Carlos, a real pleasure to speak to you. Enjoy this moment and enjoy the celebrations to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
A first home run in 6 games for Shohei Ohtani, and he didn't stop there. See how he did on both sides of the ball next.
Boost your confidence inside and out. Winona offers personalized hormone therapy for women who want to feel strong, balanced, and like themselves again. Whether you're dealing with low energy, mood changes, or low libido, this is real medical care. Bioidentical hormones, personalized and delivered discreetly to your door, so you can feel like your best self again in every part of your life. Find personalized hormone care with Winona.
You read every label at the grocery store, but have you read your dog's food label? Sundays for Dogs gently air dries meat and superfoods to preserve nutrients and flavor. It's healthy, complete nutrition with no artificial preservatives, fillers, or synthetics. Plus, there's no refrigeration or thawing required. Just scoop and serve. See the difference real food makes in your dog's life. Get 30% off your first box today.
Welcome back. 2 years after retiring from international duty, Bayern Munich goalkeeper Manuel Neuer is back in the Germany fold and will be at his 5th World Cup, having been named in the squad of 26 by coach Julian Nagelsmann. The 40-year-old hasn't played for his country since their quarter-final defeat at the European Championships in 2024, but he's helped Bayern Munich to Bundesliga success this season. He's still very much playing and is expected to reclaim his starting spot ahead of Hoffenheim's Ollie Baumann. Mohamed Salah has been named in Egypt's preliminary squad for the tournament as well. He's expected to captain his country as they return to the World Cup, having missed out on Qatar 2022. Head coach Hossam Hassan has named a list of 27 players, which he needs to cut by only 1 to 26 for the official start of the World Cup. Can you imagine? Salah, you suspect, isn't in danger of that, with the Pharaohs set to take on Belgium, Iran and New Zealand in Group G. Now, if Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals was Wemby's, the NBA's MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, made sure that Game 2 was his, inspiring the Oklahoma City Thunder to victory over the San Antonio Spurs to level the series at 1 apiece. Andy Scholes is with us from CNN Atlanta. Andy, everything the Spurs had last night, Thunder just had that little bit more.
They did, Amanda. And, you know, this Thunder-Spurs series is certainly living up to all the hype. You know, Game 2, another awesome physical game. You know, what a treat we're getting if we're going to get 7 games of this. It's been highlights galore through 2 games. And Stephon Castle, maybe the dunk of the playoffs, maybe the dunk of the year in the second quarter as he rises up, throws it down on Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, look how he cocked that ball back. Wemby's reaction was even great. He was impressed. Third quarter, tight game. Wemby, he's going to miss his shot here, but gets his own rebound, throws it down. Then on the other end, Wemby blocking Alex Caruso. Wemby finished with 21 points, 17 rebounds, floor block shots, but it wasn't enough because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, an MVP performance in this one, scored a game-high 30 points, including this bucket with under a minute to go to put the game away. Thunder win 122-113 to even the series. And afterwards, SGA was asked what kind of impact Isaiah Hartenstein had on Wemby in Game 2.
I'm not sure if it was good, to be honest. Yeah.
Break that down for me.
Say again?
Break that down for me. Why was his impact not good?
It was all right. It was good.
So backtrack quickly. He later clarified that saying he didn't really understand the question correctly. But Game 2, it was a rough one for injuries for both teams. Jalen Williams exited in the first quarter as he re-aggravated his hamstring injury. Then Spurs rookie sensation Dylan Harper, he left in the third quarter. He also hurt his hamstring. Both players' status now up in the air for Game 3 on Friday. Meanwhile, in hockey, the Avs and Golden Knights taking the ice for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals on Wednesday. Colorado at the end of the power play, but they give the puck away to Ben Hutton, who had just come out of the penalty box. His shot blocked, but Brett Howden there to score off the rebound. So that made it 3-0. Vegas would go on to win 4-2 to take a 1-0 lead in that series. All right, how about some baseball? Shohei Ohtani doing it all for the Dodgers on Wednesday against the Padres. Very first pitch of the game, he unloads on it. That was Ohtani's 8th home run of the season. Now, Ohtani was also pitching in this one, and he was fabulous once again on the mound. He threw 5 innings of shutout ball, striking out 4. Dodgers would win 4-0. Ohtani's ERA this season through 8 starts is .73, which is just absolutely ridiculous, Amanda. And, Ohtani, he's won World Series, he's won MVPs. I'm kind of convinced this year he wants to win the Cy Young Award, which goes to the best pitcher in each league, because he is certainly...
I'm saying this because I'm not going to repeat it over and over. Investigators were directed to proceed with a series of criminal charges arising out of the events which unfolded on that fateful day. At this time, however, it is important to note that no one is yet in custody or charged, and thus I cannot give you any further information as to the amount of charges or the nature of the charges until that status quo is resolved. At this time, investigators have been directed accordingly to resolve that status quo, and I am currently awaiting feedback before I can update you further. Thus, I will not be expounding on this statement until I obtain an update from them. I cannot comment any further at this point. Up to 5 minutes before I came downstairs, I called the investigators to get an update to see if I was able to give you more. The status quo remains the same. So when that changes, I will come back to you. And lastly, this morning, unfortunately, as we speak, the police are on the scene of a home invasion in the Central Division, where another fatality occurred. So the TTPS is again urging communities to remain vigilant and to report suspicious activity without delay. There have been 2 police-involved shootings linked to home invasions in the matter of hours, 24 hours. And this underscores for me the extreme danger posed by armed offenders who target people in their homes, whether occupied or unoccupied. And the TTPS will continue to respond swiftly, lawfully, and decisively to protect residents and citizens, to secure your neighborhoods and prevent violent criminals from gaining a foothold in our communities. Citizens are reminded that early reporting saves lives. If you see something, say something. Contact 999-555 or your nearest police station. To those who believe that they could invade people's homes, confront my officers and terrorize communities. The message is unmistakable. Armed criminality will be met with firm and immediate police response. When offenders choose violence and you point firearms at law enforcement, you create conditions that lead to some undesirable outcomes. The TTPS will not allow home invasions to become a norm in Trinidad and Tobago. And anyone engaging in these crimes should understand that there is a risk, and that risk is high, and the response of the TTPS will be swift, and the consequences will be according to your actions. So, in other words, and in colloquial terms, stay out of people's house. It's not yours, don't go there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I have an executive meeting upstairs. However, I will field a couple questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. For the order of the commissioner, I would now like to invite members of the media to come with their questions. As the commissioner mentioned, he has another engagement, so we ask that you be brief and to the point, please.
Commissioner, good morning. Annalisa Paul, Guardian Media.
Good morning, Ms. Paul.
I know you said that you wouldn't be able to divulge much in terms of the Joshua Samra probe and that investigation as to where it is, but can you tell us exactly who those series of charges are to be laid against, or who exactly are to be charged?
Ma'am, I want to go back to my last statement. I cannot comment any further at this point.
All right.
Good try, though.
Can you confirm or deny what has been reported in terms of a confession being given?
Confession in what, ma'am? Ma'am, that matter is under investigation. At this point in time, it would not be prudent for the police to be giving any information. That report you got of a confession did not come from the police.
All right, now going back to your Anushka Eversley update, you indicated that only just over 38 pistols and some other weapons were found.
Yes, ma'am.
On social media, there have been over 100 weapons claimed or alleged to have been found or missing. Where exactly do we go with? Because your TTPS is giving us one set of figures. Social media reporting has another.
Ma'am, I just sat here and told you about them social media people and the misinformation that they're peddling. Come and get it from the source. Look, I come here this morning. I have an executive meeting upstairs. I come here this morning to address you all before I go to executive meeting.
The firearms audit, where is that now in terms of?
Right. So in terms of the firearm audit, it's a very large-scale project. I have a large team of officers engaged in it. Generally, they are about 50 to 55% complete at this time. I spoke to them this morning to get an update because I know someone here would ask that question.
Shavana, 103.1 FM News. Commissioner, good morning to you.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I am very well. How are you?
Well, if I complain, the good Lord will be angry with me.
But there's so much to complain about.
Well, I wouldn't be the one complaining.
All right. A couple, maybe weeks ago, maybe a week ago, the TTPS would have put into commission some new radar guns. Can you let us know how many have been deployed, if they've been deployed, and what results, have been seen so far?
All right, so I don't have that data available for you today. I didn't think it prudent, considering the other matters of public importance, to actually get that. But I will get that information for you and have it passed through the corporate communications department. But I will confirm that there are 20 radar guns deployed.
Thank you. Good morning, Priya Bihari, ACP News. Commissioner, in terms of CCTV coverage across the country, are you satisfied with that right now?
There can always be more CCTV coverage. That is all I will say for that.
But,
there's never enough.
Are there cameras that are not working currently? Give me a figure.
I would not be able to give you a figure on non-functional cameras. What I can say is that the cameras that are deployed in specific areas continue to function and work for not only the TTPS but for other law enforcement.
And body cams usage, are officers encouraged to wear body cams right now?
Yes, sir. Officers are encouraged to use body cams at this point in time.
Especially when they respond to a home invasion, like last two, officers weren't wearing body cams.
Right. So we are still in that same position where, because of public procurement, we are not able to just take and go and purchase 7,884 body cams for the TTPS. There's a process. And the process right now has already started, and we are engaging through that process. So there'll be a process of persons being invited to come and submit bids. There'll be a bid opening, and when we open the bids, then we will be able to contact whomsoever was successful at the bids to then go forward from there.
So right now, officers do not have a body cam to wear.
Right, so we have a limited amount of body cams that are deployed throughout the TTPS, and we try to have them deployed to the frontline operational officers who engage with the public the most.
I just want to speak to you as president of the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago, right? I'm also the president of the Media Association, and I talk about social media. I always make the distinction between a blogger and a journalist, because a journalist is different from a blogger. So I just wanted to let you know that in terms of reporting, if you look at the Angelo case, for example, the media didn't call anyone's name. They said one of the suspects was in custody and may have confessed. So I'm just making that distinction, that journalists follow certain rules, and we use certain tools, such as accuracy, and such as getting the other side, and in this instance, getting information from the police.
Well, Mr. Bihari, I am so pleased as the Commissioner of Police to hear the President of the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago bring that to the fore. So I recognize that the cries and the pleas of the TTPS are not falling on deaf ears. There's something called pre-trial publicity, which in some cases are fatal to investigations. Because when you take those matters to the court and those brilliant attorneys come out with this, my client cannot get a proper, fair trial in this jurisdiction because of, look what was printed in the media. And sadly, they are the ones who are calling themselves media. So you need to go and represent them and rein in some of them.
But the point I'm making is that accuracy is it's not a partnership that sometimes we have difficulty in accessing information from you. So I just wanted to make that.
For me, nah, my corporate communications department is most accessible.
Okay,
and myself. Look at me here this morning.
On our next topic, the Brent Thomas probe. What is the latest with that?
That I will have to get some information and give you that feedback.
And I know that your probation is coming to an end, your period next month on the 17th. I just wanted to know if you think that you'd pass your probation period, I think you would, extend your contract.
I'm not on contract, Mr. Bihari.
Well,
that's the first thing.
I apologize. Your tenure as police commissioner would continue after.
Well, it is not up to me to judge myself. I was asked that question several times. How would you judge your performance? And I always say, I cannot judge my performance. I'm a public servant, Mr. Bihari. I work for you. You pay my salary. You know that? So you tell me how I work it. I put you on the spot this morning.
It's not for us to judge. We have the questions here.
See? I love that, Mr. Bihari. So it's not for me to judge myself and tell you about my performance, but it is for the people who pay my salary.
But do you feel you have done a good job so far?
You tell me that. Is that a statement or a question?
I'm asking.
Oh, I wouldn't answer that question. But if it's a statement, I may say, okay.
Oh, well, let's look at it in that context.
If it's a statement, then I'll say, you made that statement. Are you willing to stand by what you said?
All right, Commissioner, we're going back to the Angelo Tobias investigation in Tobago. You mentioned that the crucial piece of evidence, different things were leaked into the public domain. Yet there's a feeling on the ground that the police themselves may not have acted as quickly as initially. The public believes that main suspects or persons of interest in the investigation were allowed to, for want of a better word, roam freely or walk around before they were detained and interrogated. Do you believe that due process was followed up to now at this point? Are you satisfied with the police performance?
Ma'am, I am most satisfied in the performance of the Tobago Police Division, led by the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Rishi Singh, and the Senior Superintendent, Mr. Rodil Kirk. Basic policing principles. If a parent comes to a police station and report, my child is missing, how can I take the parent and put the parent in a cell to sit down based on you reporting your child missing? So that is where the police would now become engaged in an investigation. And we, at that point in time, had no idea about suspicion of foul play. We were looking for a missing child. The villagers were assisting us in looking for a missing child. And then we had reports coming from the fire services that, listen, a body was spotted in the rough seas to the back of the house. So all of these things led to a particular course of action that the police would have engaged in terms of search for rescue or search for recovery. However, when that critical piece of information, which is the CCTV camera footage, was leaked, it was already in the possession of the police before, and we were already looking at the contents of that critical piece of information. But because that information was advertised for click and likes, it compromised the approach that the police would have to use now in treating with things. So you've now pushed the police in a particular direction to compensate for, I don't want to use the word, that was not too pleasant. So I'll just say for the disingenuous release of the footage.
All right, and then now let's go to the fact that the officers are currently on the scene of a police-involved shooting again, another home invasion in Central District. Police killings are up under your tenure. The highest it's been, I believe. How do you feel about that?
Ma'am, I don't have that data, but what I can tell the members of the public, and I want to look at the cameras, we are in a state of emergency. The posture of the police in responding to the cries of the citizen is elevated. Please warn your brothers, your father, your uncle, whomsoever you know involved in criminal activity. Don't arm yourself and go in people's house. Don't arm yourself and go in the bar and rob nobody. Because my officers, when responding, will defend themselves against you. And the outcome may not be one which your family would want to happen. You know your family have gone, tell them, hey, go and put it in a spot and call the police and let them come and get it. You know your family committing robbery, it is best that you go and report them to the police and give us the evidence to put them away than you have to go and bury them. Because they, in going to put a robbery down, may end up in a situation which may not come out or resolve well for them in the end. So my plea is for the citizens to start taking some responsibility. Because I saw a relative of one of the gentlemen, the gentleman from yesterday, said that she know that he was a thief. She know that he used to go in people's house. But the police should have shoot him in the foot. As a police officer, entering a house in the night and a man point a gun at you, are going and aim for the man's foot? No. The point is, there's a threat to the lives of police officers, and the police officers, by virtue of what is taught to them and the use of force policy, must act to preserve themselves and the lives of their fellow officers. And in doing so, that gentleman would have succumbed to his injuries. Do not go in people's house. That is the warning that should be going out. It's not yours. Don't go and look for it. There are still lawful means to make money in this country.
And lastly, my last question now. There have been reports of an alleged racket at the Immigration Division. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander would have mentioned that earlier this week, where foreign nationals were paying supposedly for citizenship passport appointments, different bribes being offered up to office holders, alleged office holders. Can you say whether or not the TTPS is investigating that? Has anyone been questioned? Has a formal report been made to the TTPS?
I actually was engaged by the Minister of Homeland Security about this exact same thing yesterday, and after our conversation, he has undertaken to submit some documentation to my office. So I expect that that would be here soon. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen of the press, thank you so much. My executive is probably upstairs wondering, where is the commissioner? So I'll have to go and join them now. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Inspector.
I only came in after Shivana.
facing. But the question people are asking, this is the 17th Ebola outbreak that DRC is facing, but every day, every time when it comes, the officials are dealing with the emergency as if nothing was prepared, and people are getting frustrated on all this. But at the same time, the context of the situation in Ituri region, North Kivu, and right now South Kivu also reported a new case. Has been going also to, has been affected also by the conflict areas. Some of the places the authorities doesn't have even control, like here in Goma. People are worrying if it comes that the situation may become worse, like in Bunia, authorities cannot come here, government members cannot come here. All these are the challenges that authorities are trying to deal with right now, but at least the rapid spreading of the virus in the region and across the eastern DRC is really, people are getting worried about the situation right now.
Yeah, Alan, as you said, 17 outbreaks, and given all of those challenges that you mentioned and how remote some of these affected areas are, how confident are authorities that they can get this under control?
At this level, DRC officials are depending exclusively with the help of the partners. For example, I've been discussing with some of the partners here.
Our apologies. It appears we have lost our connection to Alan Wakani, joining us there from Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Catherine Soy, who joined us from Busunga in Uganda. Well, in 2014, an Ebola outbreak in West Africa killed more than 11,000 people and infected more than 28,000 across Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone. It was the deadliest Ebola outbreak ever recorded and led to border closures, quarantines and major international health responses across the region. Nicholas Haak looks at the lessons learned more than a decade later.
The virus of fear is how Professor Daudaka describes Ebola. During the 2014 outbreak, he treated several Ebola patients. Patient 0 was a child infected near a hollow tree in southern Guinea, where bats nested. That's when scientists believe the virus jumped from the bats to humans and spread to 28,000 people across West Africa. More than 11,000 people died of the virus in what was the deadliest Ebola outbreak in history. But Senegal recorded only one case treated by Dr. Ka. He says in any Ebola outbreak, panic is the virus's greatest ally.
When people panic, they expose themselves to even more risk. When there's panic in health centers, that leads to bad decisions and dangerous behavior.
It took Guinea 3 months to notify the World Health Organization of the outbreak, and several more months before the WHO declared it an international health emergency. Touslow says this MSF doctor who was on the ground fighting Ebola, for him, the lesson is clear. With Ebola, early detection is key.
Par conséquent, il faut la confiance.
You need trust and cooperation from local communities. They have to be involved. They have to understand the virus. That is the only way to stop it early. And contact tracing has to be rigorous, because if you don't find those contacts quickly, the outbreak spreads in every direction and becomes much harder to control.
But detection was not enough. Borders were shut, armed security patrolled the streets enforcing quarantine measures. As the death toll increased, so did mistrust. Health centers were placed not to heal, but to die.
Pendant la même période que va durer l'Ebola en Ituri, what worries me deeply is that during the same period as this Ebola outbreak in Ituri, far more children will die from malnutrition, malaria and measles than from Ebola itself.
It took 2.5 years before people celebrated the end of the epidemic, unaware that the virus was still lurking and a new outbreak was to come. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera, Dakar.
Israel has deported hundreds of detained international activists from an aid flotilla bound for Gaza. It comes as global outrage grows over their mistreatment by Israeli authorities. They were taken into custody on Monday when Israeli forces intercepted 28 boats in international waters. The group was trying to break Israel's blockade on Gaza, which has remained in place despite the ceasefire. Several countries, including France, the Netherlands and Canada, are summoning their respective Israeli ambassador over the mistreatment of the activists. Zain Basravi reports.
Free, free Palestine!
The governments of several countries, including Italy, France, the Netherlands, Australia and Canada, have summoned Israeli ambassadors to condemn Israel's mistreatment of activists taken into custody from a Gaza aid flotilla. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir shared this video showing himself taunting them. It shows him shouting at the activists who are kneeling with their hands tied as officers stand nearby. The footage has sparked sharp criticism in the European Parliament of the lack of a proportionate response from EU leaders.
Are you going to lift a finger at any point to protect them? They are European citizens. What would you do if it were Iran? If it were Russia who stood in the middle of the Mediterranean to kidnap European citizens? But since it's Israel, you smile and look the other way.
Shame on you.
The activists were trying to break Israel's blockade of Gaza, which has remained in place despite the ceasefire agreed in October. They were detained when Israeli forces intercepted and stormed their vessels in international waters on Monday. With Israel's international image at all-time lows for its genocide in Gaza, even Israeli leaders said Ben-Gvir had gone too far. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar posted on social media accusing Ben-Gvir of knowingly causing harm to Israel with what he called a disgraceful display. There was even a rare rebuke from the Prime Minister. While Benjamin Netanyahu maintained Israel was right to intercept the flotilla, he said Ben-Gvir's treatment of the activists was not in line with Israeli values. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera's Natasha Butler is live for us in Notia. Following the reaction from European countries, Natasha, a number of them expressing a lot of anger after seeing this video. What more can you tell us?
Absolutely. So many of those activists were Europeans, and the picture of them on the floor there, on their knees, hands tied, being jeered at by an Israeli minister has not gone down well at all in a number of European capitals. We have heard words like outrageous, inhuman, unacceptable to describe those images. Here in France, the Foreign Ministry has summoned the Israeli ambassador. We understand that only the deputy Israeli ambassador is actually going to go to that meeting. The French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot is saying that he wants explanations. He wants to know that French citizens are being treated with respect according to international law. Similar sentiments in other countries like Germany, Ireland, the Netherlands. Pedro Sanchez, the Prime Minister of Spain, says the Israeli Minister Ben-Gvir is already banned from entering Spain. He is urging the European Union to do more in terms of putting more sanctions on individuals like Mr. Ben-Gvir. Also in Italy, Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister there, has said that she's demanding an apology for Italian citizens from Israel.
All right, Natasha, you are also today outside a court where a pro-Palestinian activist is facing possible deportation. What more can you tell us about the case?
That's correct. There was quite a large protest a little bit earlier. Some of those protesters have gone. You can probably see it's a bit empty behind me, but they were here to support Rami Shaf. Now, he is an Egyptian-Palestinian activist. He's lived in France since 2022. Before that, he'd spent 900 days in an Egyptian jail. When he was freed, he came to France because his wife is French. He since has also had a daughter here, so he is a resident in France. He was welcomed by the French President Emmanuel Macron at the time because he is a very prominent pro-Palestinian activist, once an advisor to Yasser Arafat. However, French authorities are now looking at not renewing his residency permit. French officials are saying that he poses a threat to public disorder. They haven't really given any details, but what his lawyers are saying is that's simply untrue, that he is being punished, they say, for his pro-Palestinian stance, for his campaigning, and for some of the things that he has said, criticising the Israeli government and military for the genocide in Gaza.
All right, thank you, Natasha Butler, joining us from Notia in France. Iran has released a map that shows what it defines as its area of authority to manage the Strait of Hormuz. It was posted on social media on the account of the Persian Gulf Strait Authority. Iran established the authority earlier this month to approve the transit of vessels and collect toll fees for their passage. Al Jazeera's Lina Abu Akleh explains.
This is what Tehran defines as its area of authority in the Strait of Hormuz. It stretches from Kui Mubarak in Iran all the way down to the south of Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, and from the western tip of Qashm Island all the way down to Quain. Iran describes it as a controlled maritime zone. It cuts off Oman, extends into UAE territorial waters, and leaves no space for international waters. Iran says vessels will only be allowed to pass through the waterway with permission, and only on a route determined by the armed forces. It says 26 vessels transited the waterway in a 24-hour period this week. And on Wednesday, the U.S. military boarded an Iranian-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. Washington says it was suspected of trying to breach the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports. It's at least the 5th commercial ship boarded by American forces since mid-April. And this feed shows vessels stuck on both sides of the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command recently said more than 1,500 ships from 87 countries are stranded in the Gulf. And the Food and Agriculture Organization has warned these restrictions on maritime trade could trigger a severe global food price crisis in the coming months, calling the disruption a systemic agri-food shock.
That announcement came as the United States military released footage of the interception of an Iranian-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman. US Central Command says it suspected the vessel was trying to breach the blockade. The ship was later released after American forces carried out a search and ordered the crew to change course. Iranian media says 20 Iranian sailors who were on board have since returned home. And Iran says it's weighing up its response to the latest US proposal to end the war. A spokesman for the Foreign Ministry repeated Tehran's demands for the release of frozen assets and an end to the US blockade of Iranian ports. It comes after Pakistan's Interior Minister visited Tehran this week as part of mediation efforts. On the first day of the war, a strike at a girls' school in Minab killed at least 175 children and teachers. An initial US military investigation revealed that US forces were likely responsible for the strike. Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of the US Central Command, avoided taking responsibility but promised to share the results of the investigation when complete. Tawhid Asadi joins us now live from the city of Minab in Iran. Tawhid, you are near the site of where that attack was. What can you tell us about what you've seen?
Well, almost a dozen weeks have passed, but the scene here is crippled by a lingering shock from the tragedy that happened, as you mentioned, on the very first day of the American and Israeli airstrikes. And this place, this school named Shajareh Tayyibeh, was targeted. The local residents were telling us that it happened while the classes were in session and the school was struck several times. Also, Iranian sources are saying that the U.S. Tomahawk missiles were used to conduct this brutal attack in which reportedly 168 people were killed, most of them elementary school kids and also teachers, including one pregnant teacher, as well as the car driver of the school and several other parents who came here to take their children out of the school while we were witnessing the debris and the huge amount of damage and destruction as a result of this airstrikes. We spoke to some families, and this sense of mourning after, I would say, around 12 weeks is still there. And we know that some of these students, including Makan's dead body, has not recovered yet. And we were also talking to some some local authorities, and that we know that this is not the only school in Iran being targeted. Iranian officials are saying that several hundred schools were damaged as a result of the campaign of airstrikes by the Americans and Israelis. The Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has condemned, so has some other international organizations, the attack that took place on the first day of the airstrikes. Meanwhile, we know that several universities across the country, roughly 30 universities, were also targeted, including 4 major universities, Shahid Beheshti, Sharif University of Technology, as well as the University of Science and Technology in Tehran, also the Technical University of Isfahan, among some of them. And this is being interpreted not only by the Iranian officials, but also when it comes to the public mood here and across the nation as a systematic war against the humanity, against the ordinary citizens who lost their lives. And on that, we know that thousands of civilians lost their lives, with many more injured, according to the latest reports that we had from the Red Crescent of the country. Civilian buildings, including hospitals, houses and apartments belonging to ordinary citizens, medical centers, and even very buildings belonging to the Red Crescent itself were targeted during the wartime. What we hear from many Iranians here is a sort of call for justice and accountability in that regard.
Thank you very much. Tawhid Asadi joining us from Minab, near the site of that school attack in Iran. All right, for more on the broader conflict in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, let's bring in Ali Akbar Darini, a researcher at the Centre for Strategic Studies. He's joining us live from Tehran. Ali, thanks for your time. Pakistani mediators have been visiting Tehran. No word on visits to America, though. I'm wondering if that's because Iran's leadership is considered more hardened about its position and less willing to negotiate. What are your thoughts?
There has been exchange of messages between Iran and the United States through Pakistan. The assessment from Iran's political, military and security leaders is that the perception in the United States is that if they escalate tensions, Iran will back down. And they want to see through these exchange of messages whether the war against Iran and the naval blockade against Iran is forcing Iran to back down and sign a deal completely satisfactory to Trump and detrimental to Iran or not. The Iranians also are seeking to learn whether the immense damages Iran inflicted during the 40-day war on U.S. military bases and the high costs of war is forcing Trump to back down and give up his excessive demands and distance from Israel or not, whether just to see whether there is any possibility of the basics for a framework deal or not. From the Iranian side, the U.S. escalation has hardened the Iranian position, not forcing Iran to back down.
Okay, can we talk about maximalist demands then? Reuters is reporting that a formal order has been made that Iran's uranium not leave the country. Can you help me understand, how does a direction like that help to resolve the conflict?
Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium is a national asset. Iran cannot give it up. There is absolutely no reason for Iran to give it up. It's the achievement of efforts by Iranian scientists over decades. So giving up the most potent asset in Iran's hands to Iran's enemies is a betrayal of the blood of noble scientists who sacrificed their life for nuclear achievement. So this is a wish list by the United States, by Trump, to say either we are going to destroy or steal the Iranian stockpile of enriched uranium. From the Iranian side, it's out of question. Iran is not going to give it up.
Mr. Derini, can you help me? There's been a new map published of the Strait of Hormuz. Why do you think Iran is now claiming the territorial waters of Oman and UAE as under its control?
Largely because the UAE has became a platform for aggression against Iran, and the UAE is now on the front line of war against Iran. It has signed a deal with the devil. It is working hard, encouraging and assisting and calling on the United States to reignite the war against Iran. That's why Iran has expanded the security zone to include Fujairah, because the UAE is seeking to export oil through Fujairah to lessen the pressure on the oil market and help save the United States from the economic pressures. Controlling the Strait of Hormuz is a huge leverage Iran cannot give up. Why we are in this situation? It is because of the war of aggression. Your reporter talked about 168 schoolgirls and teachers murdered by the United States. There was hazardous passage through the Strait of Hormuz before, and that hazardous passage brought war, destruction, and murder for the Iranian people. Not anymore. Iran needs to control the Strait of Hormuz to make sure that the strait will not be used to wage a war of aggression against Iran. At the end of the day, the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. Iran benefits from reopening the Strait of Hormuz, but safe passage, not hazardous passage. And of course, based on payment of fees for administrative services, security services, environmental protection services, Iran is going to offer to make sure that this region and the Strait of Hormuz will not be a platform for aggression against Iran.
Ali Akbar Darini joining us from Tehran. Thank you. To Lebanon, where funerals have been held for 14 people killed in an Israeli strike. 5 children were among the victims. The attack was among Israel's latest violations of the US-brokered ceasefire. More than 3,000 people have been killed in Lebanon since March the 2nd. Zaina Horda reports from Tyre in southern Lebanon.
14 people killed in a single Israeli strike on Tuesday. They are now being laid to rest. We are in the village of Deir el-Anoun el-Nahr in the district of Tyre. As you can see, they are being laid to rest. Among the 14 people killed, an entire family, 3 children, their parents and their grandparents. The youngest child, Muhammad, he was 1.5 years old. Maria, she was 6 years old. Malika, she was 8 years old. 2 other children were also killed in that Israeli strike, but they are not from this town. They were here seeking shelter. We are a few kilometers from Israel's so-called yellow line, but Israel has expanded its attacks across southern Lebanon. There is nowhere safe. Civilian casualties are mounting. More often than not, civilians are killed without any prior warning. There's so much anger here. People are in grief. It's not easy to bury a 1.5-year-old child, but he was not the only child who has been killed in this 3-month conflict. More than 200 children have been killed. For people of southern Lebanon, there is no ceasefire. See, that ceasefire, that US-brokered ceasefire, which was extended for 45 days last week, remains ink on paper. Israeli airstrikes have been relentless. For people here, that ceasefire is nothing more than an extension of the ongoing Israeli strikes. And as we made our way to this village, what we saw was destruction, homes that are empty, people forced to leave, villages depopulated. And we can't stay here long, neither those who are burying the dead. They come here after getting prior permission from the Lebanese army, which liaises with the UN peacekeeping force in southern Lebanon. So really, these are not the first victims. It's not the first entire family to be killed in an Israeli strike. Zana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Deir al-Anoun, El Nahr, Tyre.
Still ahead on Al Jazeera.
Today, we are announcing an indictment.
The US charges Cuba's former president, Raul Castro, with murder. We have the reaction from Havana.
This is the U.S. Supreme Court, which has allowed women to continue to access abortion medication by mail. But the ruling has done little to end the debate about whether state and federal governments should have control over abortion access.
This is America, and that is the US Treasury. Here, the national debt has exceeded GDP for the first time since World War II.
How likely is a war in the future between the US and China over Taiwan?
Republicans control the House of Representatives by just 5 votes. That's too close for comfort for U.S. President Donald Trump.
A global conflict thousands of miles away is exposing California's reliance on foreign oil.
This is America, every weekday on Al Jazeera.
Is the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran dragging the world to an economic meltdown? Join me, Steve Clemens, every week where I'll bring you the latest analysis on the global fallout of this conflict. Pull apart fact from fiction and get to the bottom line.
Your weekly take on U.S. politics, the bottom line. Examining the headlines.
It's really easy to attack peace, but really hard to restore it.
Unflinching journalism.
Well, with the police who are about to carry out a raid, these confrontations between the police and the gangs have gotten increasingly more violent.
Explore an abundance of world-class programming.
Are we in the middle of an arms race?
AI-driven weaponry is the next great threat.
Programs that open your eyes to an alternative view of the world today on Al Jazeera.
A weekly look at the world's top business stories.
Who wins, who loses, in terms of countries at least to begin with.
From global markets and economies.
A number of rate cuts were priced in for the year. Now we are potentially looking at rate hikes.
To understand how it affects our daily lives.
95% of their offensive capabilities have been destroyed. Don't want to minimize.
You're saying that you've won the war already. You clearly haven't.
Counting the cost on Al Jazeera.
In the morning of Eid, some prepare their sacrifice, while others wait for a share of it. Since 2017, your sacrifices have reached those in need with dignity. Across 15 countries, we deliver your sacrifice and create real impact. This Eid al-Adha, your sacrifice is not just a ritual. It is a joy that reaches those who need it most. Contribute now and be the reason someone has a better Eid.
Watching Al Jazeera. A reminder of our top stories this hour. The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has killed nearly 150 people so far. Hundreds more are infected. Health workers and aid groups in eastern Congo say they're in desperate need of more supplies and staff. Israel's deported activists detained on the Gaza aid flotilla. Global outrage at their mistreatment's growing after Israel's far-right national security minister posted a video of himself abusing the group. And Iran says it's reviewing the latest US proposal to end the war. It comes after Pakistan's Interior Minister made his second visit to Tehran on Wednesday as part of mediation efforts. Russia has transported nuclear munitions to field facilities in Belarus and showcased elements of its nuclear forces. It comes amid worsening tensions with Eastern European NATO members over the Ukraine war and drone activity in the Baltic. Moscow's conducting some of its biggest nuclear exercises in years, involving 64,000 people to drill its forces in, quote, the preparation and use of nuclear forces in the event of aggression. Drone technology has transformed the battlefield in Ukraine. In both the Ukrainian and Russian militaries, first-person view, or FPV, drones are increasingly replacing traditional weapons. But the war's also creating a new kind of soldier, young pilots, many of them raised on video games. Audrey McAlpine reports from Truskavets in western Ukraine.
3, 2, 1.
For these soldiers, the path to the battlefield didn't begin in a firing range. It began in front of a screen.
Yeah!
Lift-off, Need for Speed, and Counter-Strike.
FIFA, Mortal Kombat. In western Ukraine, pilots from across the military are meeting for a drone racing competition. Many grew up playing video games. Now, they say some of those same skills are helping them fight Russian forces on the battlefield. 33-year-old Parhom has been a gamer, a sniper, and now he's a drone pilot. He says games can help train reflexes, coordination, and tactical thinking.
Lift-off.
Lift-off is more for driving, to work out the motor skills of the fingers and the coordination of the hands. It's good for drones. Counter-Strike is more tactical, to understand the enemy's tactics.
You can't help but notice how young these people are. You can see drone races, air horns, soldiers crowded around screens, cheering each other on. It feels more like a gaming convention than it does a military event. But some of these pilots were on the front lines just days ago. In a country trying to grow its army, drone units have become attractive to younger recruits. The work is technical, specialized, less physical, and less dangerous than infantry roles.
25, maybe 27.
That's the age of most prospective drone pilots, according to Dimitro.
It's cool for the guys. They don't want to be a tank brigade or maybe artillery because it's an old system. And drones are the future.
This war is forging a different sort of soldier, one shaped as much by gaming culture as by traditional military training. Audrey McAlpine, Al Jazeera, Truskavets, Ukraine.
Well, Patrick Bury is a defence and security specialist at the University of Bath and a former British Army officer. He joins us now live from Bath in the United Kingdom. Patrick, thanks for your time. At the end of the day, this is training that allows soldiers to kill people, to take a human life, and I suppose that's what war is. But is it better or worse if it's through a screen by someone who trained on a video game?
As someone who's been there, is when it's done properly, it is essentially legal murder. You don't want to really give your enemy much of a chance because that means you being killed. And so this is just an evolution in terms of the character of war of that. And it's really important to the Ukrainians because they are shorter on manpower than the Russians by dint of their population size. Their army is smaller. And they have a huge area of ground, of front to cover. And so you end up with this drone wall, which is basically ubiquitous drones manning or covering a kind of defensive belt and holding the line. So it's been born of necessity. The Ukrainians have taken, harsh losses, not as much as the Russians, of course, but still, a serious amount of their men have been killed. And this is just by dint of circumstances, and wars evolve this way.
Yeah, and so then how significant is this shift to drone warfare, maybe not just in this conflict, but for any future conflict as well?
I think very. We talk about often the nature of war doesn't change in the idea that, ultimately it's an act of violence to compel your enemy to do your will. That doesn't really change. But the method with which you do that does change with technology, of course, and tactical evolutions as a result of that technology. And so if you look at what's happening at the moment on the front line in Ukraine, you have these drones like the FPVs and also the longer range drones. So they can either, target individual soldiers with a RPG round on them, or they can drop bomblets, etc., on those short to medium ranges. And they've created, along with, very well dispersed and small infantry positions along the line, and some obstacles, of course, like tank ditches and the terrain which channels them. They've created this very difficult to penetrate and under constant surveillance line, about 50 to 80 kilometers wide, where the Russians really can't mass in that old way of trying to mass forces and then punch through. They can't do that. And the best success you have is basically, first of all, trying to completely blind the other team's, the other side's drone handlers, and the systems which support that. And then secondly, try to creep through in small numbers around positions, hoping the remaining drones don't see you. So at the moment, I suppose the evolution in what the Ukrainians are showing, it in that regard favours the defensive form of warfare. But it's also really important, as we're seeing, the Ukrainians, as of today, have struck a refinery 1,000 kilometers behind the front line inside Russia. That's the long-range deep strike. And that's really important strategically too.
That's what I wanted to ask about you next, actually. We've been seeing some pictures during your interview of nets covering towns and areas which we know from previous coverage are in part to try and help stop these drones coming through. And I'm wondering, is it fair to say now that controlling territory on the ground doesn't have the same weight that it used to? Because a drone can still fly over and cause infrastructure damage. It can still kill people from miles or thousands of miles away. And that then does apply to Ukraine being able to extend the battlefield back into Russia.
Yeah, well, there's two things. One, what you're seeing with the nets is essentially the sort of within that 50 to 80 kilometers, as I'm saying, around the front line, or the zone, as you could call it. Really, it's a dispersed front line in terms of what we'd normally think, covered by drones. Well, then the nets, etc., are there to cover what's really important is obviously the resupply and the relief in place of troops in that area, the logistics. And that's what they're there for. But that's a different kind of scenario than when you've got long-range, higher payload drones attacking refineries 1,000 kilometers, 800 kilometers inside Russia repeatedly and hitting the capital. It's two different kinds of problem sets, essentially, and two different kinds of approaches. One's sort of the strategic deep fires, as we call it, to change the Russian economy. The other one is almost a tactical operational battle around the front line. So they're kind of different. They're related. What I would say is the Ukrainians have had this Russian summer offensive that we've been expecting. It's not as big as potentially it was. The Ukrainians are killing a lot of Russian soldiers, at least 1,000, wounding as well 1,000 a day. One of the reasons they're having success is because of these, in the shorter battle, that tactical operational battle, they've decided not to prioritize really Russian soldiers anymore, but what their center of gravity is the logistics and command and control, which organizes attacks behind the front line. And that's where those drones and the ubiquitous coverage is having an impact.
Patrick, thank you very much. Patrick Perry, a defence and security specialist, joining us from Bath. The US has announced criminal charges against former Cuban President Raul Castro. The indictment relates to the downing of 2 civilian aircraft in 1996. 4 people were killed when Cuban military jets shot down planes operated by a Miami-based group of exiles. Julia Galliano reports from Havana.
It's been nothing short of a historic day in US-Cuba relations, which saw former President, 94-year-old Raul Castro, indicted by the U.S. Department of Justice on charges of conspiracy to kill U.S. citizens in relation to an incident that took place 30 years ago. And here in Havana, the reaction from the government has been broadly what was expected. The president, Miguel Díaz-Canel, posted on X saying the indictment is simply the U.S. government trying to lay the groundwork for military aggression against Cuba, something he warned would be very ill-advised. But for ordinary Cubans, the impact of this indictment, at least for now, feels far less urgent than the effects that the U.S. oil blockade is having in their lives. The measure has largely prevented crude from reaching this island for the better part of this year, and people are experiencing a dire existence, often lacking electricity, water supply, and cooking gas. Communications are also a problem on this island right now. And in fact, we've had several people come up to us and ask us what's happening in relation to this indictment and what we think is going to happen. So there is a palpable sense of uncertainty here in Havana. So while there are Cubans on this island that will see this indictment as some sort of tangible action, moving them closer to regime change, I think for the majority of people, they realize that this is a political move. And right now, frankly, the concern for most is daily survival. Julia Galliano, Al Jazeera, Havana.
Well, for more on this story, let's bring in Peter Kornblue, a senior analyst and Cuba specialist at the National Security Archive, joining us from Cape Cod in Massachusetts in the United States. Thank you so much for your time, Peter. Can I ask you, Cuba's president, off the back of that story, obviously wary about US intentions. Do you think this opens the door for a Venezuela-style operation by America?
Clearly, that's the message that the Trump administration is trying to send to the Cuban leadership. Remember what we did in Venezuela, where we also indicted Nicolas Maduro before we swept in with special forces, eliminated the entire Cuban security guard around him and seized him. This could happen in Cuba. And that's, I think, this is the most significant and ominous step in an escalating effort towards regime change from Washington against Havana at this point.
In terms of assessing actual regime change, as we have seen in Venezuela, it was the deputy that stepped in. And in Cuba, this is the former president who's been indicted, not even current leadership. So do you see it having the desired effect, if that's the message from the US?
Yes, I think it's going to have it is having a significant effect. It comes as part of a 1-2 punch. Last week, the CIA director, Ratcliffe, went to Havana and basically delivered an ultimatum from President Trump to the Cuban intelligence leadership and to Raul Castro's grandson. And that message basically was, time is running out for you. Do what we want or face the consequences. As soon as CIA Director Ratcliffe left Havana, word came out of the Justice Department that they were going to indict Raul Castro on May 20th, Cuban Independence Day. And so the tensions have been building. Now the indictment is in place. And a U.S. battle group, the USS Nimitz and its surrounding ships are entering the Caribbean. So there's this kind of ominous dark shadow, very deliberately being put over Cuba by the United States in this very moment.
And so then how do you expect Cuba's government will react?
Well, Cuba's government has reacted with a combination of threats, just like the President Diaz-Canal's tweet yesterday that you just posted, suggesting that it would be ill-advised for the United States to attack Cuba. The day before that, he said there would be a bloodbath. I don't think any of that really has any resonance for U.S. officials of any kind, given the formidable capabilities of U.S. Special Forces and the lack of capabilities of the Cuban military. But Cuba has also stepped up its efforts to get the attention of the Trump administration and say, we want to negotiate. Just yesterday, the Cuban ambassador to the United Nations in New York gave an interview, a rare interview with the New York Times, saying, look, we are willing to talk about our political systems, our economic systems, but somebody has to be there listening and responding. And so far, the Trump administration seems to be ignoring our efforts to sustain negotiations between our two countries.
That point stands out to me, so I just want to ask you finally, what is it of your understanding that stands out to you about what the US wants from Cuba, and is there any way that Cuba can actually meet those demands?
I think it's very difficult. That's a very important question, because I think ultimately what President Trump wants is total capitulation of the Cuban government. I think he wants to be able to claim that he was the president, instead of all of his predecessors, going back to President Eisenhower in 1960, who finally was able to decapitate and roll back the Cuban Revolution. So basically the demands he is making is completely change your economic system and sacrifice at least some of your leadership your Communist Party leadership, if not your historical leader, Raul Castro, so that I can claim to have decapitated and ended the Cuban revolution once and for all. And those are very difficult demands for a sovereign country such as Cuba, any country, frankly, to accept from the United States or from any country. And so the last vestiges of the Cuban Revolution, I believe, are kind of in the dignity of the Cuban government to resist this kind of, attack on its sovereignty and independence. But the situation is extremely grave and getting much graver as days go by.
Peter Kornblue, thank you very much for your time on Al Jazeera, a National Security Archive senior analyst and Cuba specialist. Still ahead on Al Jazeera. SpaceX releases details about a long-awaited share sale that could turn founder Elon Musk into the world's first trillionaire.
The world is changing rapidly and population growth is slowing down dramatically. A new documentary examines what's behind the decline in global birth rates.
Kenyan women are learning more about what it means to have children, examining and questioning.
And how this is impacting different cities around the world.
The number of pupils has been falling and falling. What happens to our family of schools?
The population bust. Baby Doomers on Al Jazeera.
In Madagascar, most families can't afford the cost of tuition, transport, and living expenses. Factories like this could use better machines, but those machines will replace workers, and that also means jobs will be lost. Hundreds of people are missing, and the search is being made all the more difficult as the rain continues. Just been a gang shootout that happened minutes ago. We've been told not to go any closer because it's not safe.
Women across the United States are wrestling with changing abortion laws nearly 4 years since the Supreme Court removed their constitutional right to access. Individual states are now responsible for handling the issue, creating a patchwork of different rules for US citizens. Richard Gaisford has the story from Washington, D.C.
It's been nearly 4 years now since justices here at the Supreme Court removed the constitutional right for women to have an abortion after they overturned the Roe versus Wade decision of 1973 that protected women's ability to seek a termination. In effect, it handed the decision to individual states as to whether abortions should be allowed or not. Some, like Louisiana, banned it entirely. Others brought in restrictions that in some cases made accessing services almost impossible. In the remaining states, abortion is largely legal. The state of Louisiana prohibits the use of remote consultations to provide abortion care. It went to court last year to argue that the Food and Drug Administration's policy of allowing people to get abortion medication via telemedicine and then having it delivered from out-of-state providers interferes with the state's own ability to regulate abortions in Louisiana. The FDA first removed the requirement for the abortion medication to be dispensed in person during the pandemic. Before this, patients had to visit a clinic, a medical office or a hospital. In 2021, the FDA conducted a comprehensive review to see whether this approach was risky or not. It decided it was safe and removed burdens on the healthcare system. In 2023, it formally removed the requirements for in-person dispensing, meaning that women could get the drug through an online consultation.
When you use the abortion pill, you actually take two different medicines to end a pregnancy, mifepristone and misoprostol.
And it allowed approved pharmacies to dispense the medication and send it to women in the mail. That meant there was a big rise in the number of women in anti-abortion states looking for help, wanting to deal with unplanned and unsafe pregnancies. This month, the appeal court in Louisiana agreed with the state and said the FDA should revert to in-person dispensing. But drug manufacturers immediately asked the court to pause its decision so they could appeal to the Supreme Court. It will now decide if Louisiana had a legal right to bring the case in the first place. Well, whilst all that rumbles on, the Supreme Court has allowed women to continue getting abortion medication by mail. When the final decision does come from the justices, it could well act as guidance for other anti-abortion states and also have real-world implications for Americans looking to get all manner of medication by mail. Richard Gaisford, Al Jazeera, at the Supreme Court in Washington.
SpaceX has revealed details about its long-awaited share sale in the United States. The move could make CEO Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire. It's set to be the largest initial public offering in history, with a valuation of up to $1.75 trillion. And just before we go, a record-breaking 274 climbers have scaled the world's tallest mountain. This is the highest number of people ever to reach Mount Everest in the same day from the Nepali side.
This whole peace process is a very clear indicator of the more multipolar,
For this hour, do stay with us. The news continues in a moment on Al Jazeera.
Been decimated. They don't want to go back to one day before the bombing started.
President Trump doesn't like to bluff. He likes to be very direct with his negotiations.
He wants to say, well, I'm actually a deal maker, not a war maker, and my pressure tactic worked.
Stay with Al Jazeera for the latest developments.
Hard-hitting interviews.
I mean, is it easy on the campaign trail to promise, but the reality is that much harder to deliver?
It is difficult, but nothing that is worth celebrating should be easy.
Facing realities.
Where do the negotiations currently stand?
We do not accept a ceasefire. We are seeking an end to the war.
Thought-provoking answers.
What is it that you think that the Trump administration really wants?
It has to be asked to the U.S. government what they want. Hear their story on Talk to Al Jazeera.
Hello, I'm Per Nyberg. This is Al Jazeera live from Doha. Our top stories this hour. Hospitals in the Democratic Republic of Congo are overwhelmed as the number of Ebola cases is on the rise. Israel deports hundreds of Gaza flotilla activists whose mistreatment has sparked international outrage. We return to the scene of the school attacked on the first day of the Iran war. A U.S. investigation into the strike that killed 156 children and teachers is nearing its conclusion.
A dozen weeks have passed, but the scene here is crippled by a lingering shock from the tragedy.
Today, we are announcing an indictment.
And we have reaction from Havana as the U.S. charges Cuba's former president, Raul Castro, with murder.
For the majority of people, they realize that this is a political move. And right now, frankly, the concern for most is daily survival.
Health agencies and aid agencies, well, they're racing to curb the spread of Ebola in one of Central Africa's most unstable regions. Emergency medical supplies have started arriving in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. Nearly 150 deaths have been confirmed and hundreds are being monitored. Alan Waikani reports from Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
Authorities are facing a difficult situation right now, overwhelmed with the cases and also facing issue with the space right now, as they are trying to bring all the suspected cases and also relatives, those who attended, for example, the virus. It was the will of authorities in order to control the spreading of the virus in the region. But the problem is the logistic. The area of Mungwalu, where